So actually, I was wondering if you want to start it today. Do you want to start the podcast?
I thought we probably already started and you're just rolling. I still don't have headphones. But I do have this badass getup. Check this out. Yeah, got my nice scarf, my blue glasses, a light shirt, because she said I can't wear dark shirts now because of the... Did you ever iron the curtain behind me?
I did. Yeah, well, my girlfriend did, but it did get done.
Okay, good. Because now that, I'm a world-famous food and travel personality, I cannot have an unironed curtain behind me.
Jesus Christ. No, seriously, do you want to do the, what did we do at the beginning?
Oh my goodness.
Good morning, good afternoon. Whatever it is for you, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Shomler. This is episode 6 of the Flawed Humans podcast. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Obviously, joining me is my dad, Stephen Shomler. Honestly, I have 2 things I want to talk with you about.
Okay.
Where do you want to start? I don't know where we begin, because I think your trip is important, but also we have to talk about what's going on in the world. I don't know even where to begin with that. It's really interesting. My girlfriend started editing the podcast. Things have shifted recently.
Yep.
So the person who edits this exact podcast will be my girlfriend, which is so relieving to me. I can worry about strong opinion sports. And she was editing the most recent episode. And I'm literally making jokes like, oh, we'll go on a plane to Boston and get coronavirus. Ooh. And I did not take it very seriously. And very quickly that shifted to, oh my gosh, no, this is a big deal. I'm scared. I don't want to die. Even if it wouldn't kill me, coronavirus sounds horrifying to have. I don't even know. Where do you want to begin with that topic? I just don't even know.
I think that we should begin by talking about Anne Edson Taylor, 1901.
Go ahead.
Have you ever?
What the heck is that? No, I have no idea.
Yeah. Have you ever seen pictures of Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
Big, huge falls?
Yeah, yep.
So people would get in barrels and go over the falls.
Okay.
And she was the first one to survive. And she did it to try and make money as a gimmick, and it didn't actually work for her. But she had she tried to sell pictures of her next to the barrel she survived in. People would go over in untested barrels with harnesses, and then they would get sucked out of the barrel, but their arm would stay. Of course, they would die. So I think coronavirus is kind of like going over Niagara Falls in a barrel. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's probably not going to end well.
Yeah, it's horror. What really got me, I knew that it was bad for old people or people with really poor health. What got me was I saw an athlete in Fresno, a young guy, an athlete, a guy who played professional football, got horribly sick, couldn't leave his house, couldn't leave his bed. I was like, oh, I don't want that at all. I am not going out. I don't need to leave my house. I'm not leaving my house.
Well, and the tragedy is all the deaths, and we haven't even scratched the surface, particularly here in America, but I think in the world, of all the deaths. But if you're, over 70 or 80, it seems to be really wiping you out. If you have any underlying health conditions, asthma, et cetera, it wipes you out. And then there are people in every age group that are dying. It's not just just the elderly are dying. No, every age group, people are dying. So it's really tragic. Just people are finally starting to wake up here in America. Last week, where it's this Friday now, we're recording, and a week ago, cases were about 5,000. Tuesday of this week, cases in the United States are about 50,000. And as of today, we're over 100,000. Just in 3 days, it's doubled. And I think it's going to get much, much worse. It's a scary thing, and I hope people do take it seriously. And there's still people that aren't.
I don't know how. You're right, and I don't understand how that's even possible. I don't get it. It's really interesting. There was that day where Trump he declared national emergency. I think it was on Thursday. And I was really lucky because I follow sports so closely that I think it was Tuesday when everything got closed down in sports. I was like, oh my gosh, NBA, F1, baseball, XFL, everything's gone. And I was like, well, I don't know. It hadn't yet been declared a national emergency at that point. But on Wednesday, I was like, well, I was talking to my girlfriend. She was at work. I was like, I think I'm going to go buy a bunch of canned goods and toilet paper seems like what everybody's buying right now. I have no idea. I want to buy a bunch of toilet paper and bottled water and canned goods. And so I did that. And then the very next, and I was pretty lucky. I was at the store, nobody else was there. And I was getting weird looks. People were like, why is he buying a bunch of canned goods? My car was full of crap that clearly was just for preparation. And people were giving me dirty looks. Then the very next day, Trump declares national emergency. I drove by the grocery store, and the line was like out of the store. I was like, oh, I got so lucky.
Yeah, that was
I beat the rush.
That was a Wednesday night here in the U.S. or Wednesday late afternoon, depending on your time zone in the U.S. It was early in the morning where I was in Greece on Thursday. Oh my gosh, we'll get to that when I talk about my trip. But yeah, it really surprised people. And Italy is just getting hammered. They're running about a 10% death rate. One of the big things that I think people really need to understand that's tragic, they're not really testing in America.
What do you mean?
They're not testing everyone for not to have coronavirus. So in Oregon, for example, in Oregonian, people can search Oregonian. They have an article that talks about this that came out yesterday. There's as of today, maybe 300-400 cases, and people are like, oh, that's not very many, but they're not testing. So if you're really, really, really sick and they think that you won't die,
they will test you.
They will test you. If you're really, really sick and they think you're going to die, they're not testing you.
Well, even my mom, mom had the flu, didn't have coronavirus, we think, had the flu, but we don't know because she went to go get tested and they rejected her because her symptoms weren't bad enough. Yeah.
Right. But
she could have had a mild version of coronavirus and no one knew.
Yep. And so the numbers that I'm glad, there's this one website everyone goes to that a lot of people know about, and I'm glad we have something to register against, but what they aren't going to be able to, testing isn't happening, but what will happen is deaths and hospitals being overfilled. And I hope that never happens. I hope the hospitals are never overfilled, although New York's close. But if a bunch of people start dying, people take it seriously. But there could be 30,000 cases in Oregon.
And just because no one can get tested or is getting tested.
Because they're just not testing, so you just don't know. I think personally, I hope I'm wrong, but speculation, I think the two next big places that the next 30 days your mind's going to be blown are Louisiana and in the country of India. India has no real medical system, a lot of poverty. That could go really bad there.
Yeah.
I think they lost 1.2 million people. They lost millions of people in the flu, Spanish flu of 1918. I worry for India, and Louisiana looks like it's on the uptick, and indications are it's just going to be terrible throughout Louisiana.
Why is it so bad in Louisiana? I haven't heard anything about that. I have no idea.
Well, there's speculation why, but they had Mardi Gras.
Oof.
And all those people...
And they just did it anyway.
Just like Italy, just before they shut down, had a soccer game with 40,000 people in it.
Do you think the reason they did Mardi Gras was financially they just needed it for their economy?
I think that no one understood yet. I think people just didn't understand that it was terrible.
Got it.
But I think one is it's way more serious than people realize. You don't want to get it regardless of your age. It's not going to kill everybody, but it's going to kill some people. And then the other thing people that need to know is there is so much... I almost called someone a bad word today on social media. I didn't because I don't do that. That's not who I am, and it's not good for my brand. But it's like eventually I said, I call bull shark on this. You're spreading falsehoods as truth. Have you ever heard of this show called Strong Opinion Sports? Do you know the difference between an opinion and a fact?
Yeah. Yep.
What's simple? Just what do you think the difference is?
A fact is you can't dispute a fact. Like when Cam Newton was released by the Carolina Panthers, it is what it is. I can say my opinion was he didn't get released, but that's just wrong because factually he did get released by the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
It's an inarguable fact.
Yeah, you jump off a building, even though everybody likes science, gravity, you will fall.
Yeah, that's fact.
Yeah. Whereas an opinion is here's what I think is happening. And it's so frustrating to me that in this whole crisis, people make confusing the difference between a fact and opinion, and they're sharing opinions as facts. For example, you don't know whether or not you have coronavirus.
Nope.
You're not sick.
No.
You haven't been around anybody that you know has had coronavirus.
Nope.
So you may or may not. But just because you're not presenting symptoms doesn't mean you don't have it. The only way to know is to test you.
Yep.
You could theoretically, this is a thing.
And they wouldn't test me, by the way.
They wouldn't test you. and this could... There are people we don't know yet about coronavirus that are just carriers. They never get sick. They just spread it to everybody. So who knows if you have it or not? Who knows if you're spreading to everybody or not? So that's unknown. Have you ever had the flu?
I don't, not that I know of. I think maybe once in my lifetime, but it might have been food poisoning. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was we were at Chris Columbus' house for the 2006 Super Bowl.
Yep.
When Peyton Manning beat the Bears. I was really sick on the couch at Chris Columbus' house. Miserable.
So I've had the flu a couple times, and did you know that coronavirus is a virus?
Sure.
Did you know the flu is a virus?
Yeah.
When you get the flu in 2018, it doesn't make you immune from the flu in 2019 or 2020.
Because it mutates and changes, and it's not like you get chickenpox once and you never worry about chickenpox again. What I've heard about the coronavirus, if I get coronavirus now, I could still get it again in the fall.
Maybe.
But it doesn't mean I'm done with it forever. So my point, right? Like,
well, but we don't know. You may or may not get immunity. That's what they're talking about. You may get coronavirus, and maybe you get immunity. Maybe you don't. We just don't know. That's hoped.
Yeah.
They suspect, they believe, they think likely, but they just don't know. And there's so many of these things that people are relying on that are this thing's going to kill a lot of people. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we're done in the next 12 months that we have somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million deaths in the United States of America for coronavirus. And I hope and pray I'm wrong, but that will not surprise me. But people are making life-changing decisions based on life or death decisions based on opinions that aren't yet facts. Do you know why they call it a novel virus?
I think it's because there's no way to cure it yet.
Because it's stupid. The medical community is dumb when it comes to marketing and branding. It's a term that means new.
Got it. Brand new.
It's a brand new virus.
Got it.
So when did it appear? You can argue the date in November or date in December, but it hasn't. The date in November or date in December, but it hasn't been around very long, and we don't have any actual scientific facts to say here's what happens.
You know what's really horrifying? Per your recommendation, I watched the movie Contagion literally last night with Liz.
Yep.
Oh my fucking God. It is literally to a T. I mean, she was terrified. She was like, this is really scary because it really feels like exactly what is unfolding in front of us in real time, in real world.
So I got back from Greece on Friday night.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago. And on Saturday, Karen and we watched Outbreak and Contagion.
I heard Outbreak was not as good.
It's not as good. And
Contagion is like, dude, whoever wrote that has got to be like, feel like he's got a big dick swinging around. Like, yeah, motherfucker, like I was right. I told you that movie was good. I told you that movie was scientifically accurate because it was too. Even your social distancing in the fucking movie, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, when they said, I need to practice social distancing, I about fell off my chair. Like, this was made in 2011. What?
The only inaccuracy in that movie is like, well, not inaccuracy. The only parallel that's not there is we have social media is bigger. And cell phones are better. It's literally the only difference now. It's like, fuck, like, and they're probably YouTubers instead of a blogger. Like, right. Like the world is a little bit different 10 years later, but it's very similar in that movie. It's like, wow.
Yeah, what's happening? And so it's just,
it originated in China? I don't want to go very far down this rabbit hole, but have you seen any videos from China? Holy shit. Like, it's scary. Like, I don't know. We shouldn't really say much about China. I don't want to, but it's like the things I've seen on video from that country, I'm just like, whoa, it's horrifying.
You mean as far as the disease?
The response, they're like welding people into buildings, like they're the sirens and people like it's like shut down streets, the police walking on the. It looks apocalyptic. It's like what the fuck, like.
Well, but they are they're a communistic country.
Yeah, and then what's worse is I don't know what, like, you hear that some guy who got it earlier is now healthy in China. Like, do I believe that? I don't really believe that. I don't believe anything that comes out of there. Like,
well, here's the place I don't buy. Russia. Come on now. They have a huge border with China and nobody has it. I mean, the published stats are super, super low. I just find that hard to believe. But hey, if it's true, great. I just find it hard to believe that like there's no cases hardly.
Well, and that's what's interesting about. It's funny. The movie is what made me think about all this. Like in the movie, China tries to cover up how real it is there because they're afraid it makes them look bad. Totally, that's how it is now. Like I'm certain that they're definitely not telling us everything, and they help spread it because they, for a while, kept it concealed, not wanting to make themselves look bad. And as a result, it made it worse for the whole world. And now is not the time to finger point. I think maybe if we ever do get to that point, it's when everything's away and done. But it's just a sad reality. Like, I don't believe everything I'm hearing because I don't know what to trust. Or I think that's part of why this is awful, but it's true. I think part of why people haven't taken it seriously for a long time is because of a lack of trust with the media. I don't even trust the fucking sports media, let alone political media. Like, when I hear people, like, remember how much people freaked out over swine flu, over all this stuff that really was kind of inconsequential? When you cry wolf over and over and over again, and then a real thing fucking happens, nobody trusts you or believes you because for years you've done that, and for years it didn't actually matter. It's so sad, the relationship the public has with the media right now. Nobody trusts anybody because it's so financially driven rather than truth driven.
Well, just Google images of coronavirus in Italy, It's real. It's bad. I have 2 of the travel writers I was on my tour with in Greece who live in New York City.
Fuck, man.
And the texts and the stories I get from them.
I was just in
terrible.
New York.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends in New York. It's horrifying there. Yeah. Everything's empty, shut down. People are like literally scared for their lives.
Yep. So yeah, at first, the thing I want people to get out of this is it's for real.
Yeah,
I don't know how bad it's going to get. I hope it is. I hope it is not bad at all. Here's my worry. We take a situation like Oregon that as of today has roughly 300 cases and not that many deaths, although every death is tragic. I'm not minimizing that. But everyone's freaking out. They've been home for like 2 weeks now. Monday before last is when they shut down the restaurants. They didn't declare the stay-at-home order until this Monday. But for a lot of my friends in the restaurant business, they're going on 2 weeks, whereas everyone else is going on 1 week in Oregon home. And people, either whether it's 1 or 2 weeks, they're freaking out how terrible it is. And some of these people think, oh, we're going to get to the middle of April, and yay, everything's going to be fine. And I don't think so. I think they're going to at least keep people locked up
till May 1st,
if not June 1st. And what my concern is, if it works. And there's not a lot of cases, for example, in Oregon, because they flattened the curve. Instead of everybody at once, they just had 50 cases a week. And there's just not that many cases when we get to May 1 or June 1. My fear is people just start, we got to get out, get us back to work, open the restaurants. Well, people still have it, and so then if they unleash the hounds, then boom, 30 days later you've got to. So
well, not to mention that everyone. There's already the belief that what happens in the summer months with the flu or the virus is it lulls and comes back like a swinging baseball bat in the fall. And what's horrifying is that's probably when we're going to be released. Is like at least August. We're probably back. Who knows? I have no idea. We might be back to normal by August because people want football. People it's huge. Our economy is going to need it. But then what if we bring everybody back and then it comes back like a wave? And my fear is that the NFL season is going to get screwed up. I mean, that would be horrible for me financially and just be awful for everybody. Like if football, here's what could happen. We let people come back to football. People go to games. A football player gets it, and then everything's shut down again for like another 6 months. I mean, it would just be terrible.
So,
if I may, like if we do get to a point where we let everybody back out and then realize how bad it is and to pull people back in, it's going to be even longer than needed because it's going to be an overreaction. Does that make sense? Like,
yep.
If we need 3 months in our houses, it'll be 6 because people are going to be so scared and the government's going to be so worried that it's going to have a really overreach of how long we need to be quarantined. What are you looking up?
So the Spanish flu, according to Wikipedia, I wanted to correct my stat.
Yeah.
In India, they, according to Wikipedia, killed about 12 to 17 million people in 1919, about 5% of the population.
You know what sucks?
In one country. Now it went from January 1918 to December 1920. It affected about 500 million people.
Well, also what's sad, think of how much bigger their population is now, right? Like that's based on 1919 statistics where the population was like a fraction of the size of what it is today. Like,
yep.
How many more, if it's the same percentage of people as it was back then, it'd be millions and millions and millions in India. Does that make sense? If it was 12% back then and 12% was a million, it might be 25 million based on how many people live there in that country.
So some interesting facts, just because we're talking about it, I think it's interesting. So where did the Spanish flu begin?
No idea. Spain? I don't know.
A military base in Kansas. United States of America, Kansas.
Were they testing on crap or?
That's just where it started. And then World War I is happening, and all the troops got it, and they sent all those troops all around the globe, and they spread it to some English troops, and then the American troops and English troops spread it around the whole planet.
Oh, the Spanish flu was, I didn't realize it. I never made that connection of the time, how it's overlapped with the World War
I.
Oh, man.
And you know why it's called the Spanish flu?
Why?
Because none of the press could report on the flu in any of the countries fighting World War I because they didn't want their enemy to know all these people are dying. So the only country that had free press was Spain. So Spain is saying everybody's dying everywhere. And it became called the Spanish flu because they're the only ones talking about it. And what happened with the Spanish flu is millions of people died. The thing came around in spring of 2019. Millions of people died in fall of 1919 in the month of October. Because
it's so interesting how that story is overlapping. The two movies I watched in the last 2 days are it's funny how they overlap. I watched Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks, which is in the Cold War, where the press is not telling anybody anything because they don't want the enemy to hear what they're talking about. And then I watched Contagion, and it's like, it's interesting how in the Spanish flu, both of those worlds collided and overlapped, where we had a real epidemic, or pandemic, I guess maybe is the word.
Yep.
And no one was telling anybody anything because they didn't want to. Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Yeah, so Spanish flu didn't start in Spain. It started in Kansas.
Yeah.
At a military base.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, it's just...
Was it hunting? Like, I don't... Or did they create it? Who knows, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just... It's bad.
Yeah.
And so my fear is that regardless of what happens, think people are going to go back to work in August or July or June. That's my guess. I have no idea, but I'm guessing. And then I hope we don't have a recurrence in November and December. Because it's warmer now. October is nice now in Oregon. Climate change may be a thing. It seems to get warmer later or colder later. So my concern is that November, December is when we have a big comeback.
Why is it, and you might not know the answer, again, neither of us are scientists.
We have no idea.
Like, we try to be honest about that, right? We're two normal dudes talking as father and son. I mean, this is actually what's funny. This is the first time you and I have sat down and talked about any of this stuff. Like,
correct. Yes, we haven't, because I haven't really seen you since I got back.
Well, because we've been quarantined, man. Like, you were in Greece and now you're back. I enjoy getting to catch up with you. But to be clear, like, we're just a father and son. And I hope if you're listening and you don't have someone to talk to about this, you hear like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone in my feelings. I hear other people conversing about just what's going on. But what's interesting is, and maybe you don't know the answer to, why is it that when it's warmer, a flu slows down? I don't have any idea why that happens.
My limited understanding is that flu is not as a strong virus, and it doesn't do as well in hot, humid climates. It dies.
Got it.
So their hope...
Yeah, the summer will inoculate it, maybe.
But it appears to be, appears, we don't know, stronger than the flu. And so who knows what will happen in hot, humid climates. There's a lot of speculation, and they're probably right, but we don't actually know.
That's what's scary. You know, it's... I think for my whole life, I've always kind of wondered, like, what would an apocalypse be like? You know, not that, nobody, of course, wants, like, the movie The Road, or the book The Road. Nobody wants that to happen. Nobody wants a nuclear fallout. But you always kind of wonder, like, I play in so many video games and watch so many movies, and you kind of romanticize about, like, oh, like an apocalypse. Like, what would I do? Like, how would I survive? And I've learned very quickly, I don't want that at all. Like, I never want an apocalypse. I don't want our society to fall apart. I don't want to learn how to survive in the woods. I don't want to try to do any of that. I am good. I'm very happy with my life, and I think a lot of people might be feeling the same way, where they're like, no, I thought maybe Zombieland sounded fun. Not at all. Never interested. I don't want to live in Mount St. Helens in a tent. Like, I'm totally happy with my life, and I like warmth in my house. Have you ever felt that way? Like, where you kind of, like, you watch Red Dawn, you're like, oh, man, like, they're really living, you know?
Wolverine!
Yeah, like, because movies make it seem kind of fun.
You mean the 80s Red Dawn, right?
Oh,
not
hell
the
yeah.
remake.
Yeah,
okay,
the remix. Dude, I have a hard time watching older movies. I just, like, 80s, look, you're going to be mad at me. 80s movies are great.
Of course,
but
yes.
even like movies from the 70s, even like the old Star Wars movies, you can just tell they're a bit slower.
Yeah.
Like, they are. Just like,
yeah.
And Red Dawn is one of the few movies from that era that is just perfect. It just is such a great, fucking fabulous, perfect movie. Like, it just... I think the 80s are when it started, when people were like, we got to speed up storytelling and we can't have weird long pauses and it can't be so slow. But fuck, Red Dawn is one of those movies that just really holds up so well. I love it. I should rewatch it.
So two other things come to mind about coronavirus. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we don't have a thing in the fall.
It's important to say, and I want to back you up here, is that you might be giving a prediction, and my fear is this, but that's not a hope. Like,
not at all.
Like, when I predict the Redskins to go 3-13, I predicted the Redskins to have a bad year last year in the NFL season. I wasn't hoping they did, but it's like, well, the reality is this might be what happens. You know, there's a prediction is not a hope.
So Cam Newton played for which team again?
The Carolina Panthers.
And what did you predict they would go?
6-10.
And what did they go?
They went 5-11. But the main point from this prediction, right, as I said, Cam Newton, my fear is he's going to get hurt. And I even said in my video, at some point, a backup quarterback is going to play for the Carolina Panthers, probably Kyle Allen. And, you know, we might even see Will Grier because he's a rookie. They'll want to see him. What the fuck do you think happened to the Panthers year? Cam Newton played 2 games. He got hurt. Kyle Allen came in as a backup, and then, lo and behold, we saw Will Grier play at the end of the year because fucking that's exactly what I said would happen.
And what did you predict the the team in Washington that has the racist name would do?
3-13.
And what did they do?
3-13. And here's what's funny: like my prediction was even more spot. Like, the only part of my prediction that was wrong is I gave the Panthers one more win than they got. I said they'd go 6-10, then went 5-11. The Redskins, not only did they have the exact same record I said they would have, I said they're going to be a mess and a turmoil of a franchise, and they were. They fired their head coach week 5 after losing their 5th game. They fired their head coach, and I said the other problem they're going to have, they have a rookie quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, and I just fucking know they're going to play him before he's ready. And what did they do? They might have literally ruined his career. They're talking about using the number 2 overall draft pick to draft a quarterback rather than keep the guy they have, which they drafted last year, because they ruined his career by playing him too early.
So here's the important thing for people here. You would love it if Cam Newton had a great season in Carolina. You would have loved it if Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton won the Super Bowl, you'd have been happy as a pig in mud.
You can make a grim prediction and not hope it comes true.
Correct. Yes, and I don't want any of this to happen, but I just want people to be careful. So if they unleash the hounds and tell us we're all free May 1, June 1, or July 1, I love dive bars. You can go to portlanddivebars.com. Karen and I do that project. If they release all of us June 1, we're not going to go to dive bars till July 15th.
That's what I think is interesting.
We're just going to wait.
Yeah.
I want to support local, but I'm going to wait and see what the case is. And if the cases skyrocket, because, I really don't want to get it and I don't want to die.
That's what I wonder, like the when we send, like, if the NBA does start again this summer, I don't think attendance is going to be very high. Like, I don't know. There'll be some people that are opportunists, like the people that are stuck in Europe right now that took really cheap flights and they can't get home. But I think a lot of people, I'm not going to go to an NBA game. Well, I'm not going to anything.
Here's my prediction for NBA and NFL.
Yeah.
If they feel like things are under control by June, they're going to bring the NBA back for a shortened season, obviously.
Yep.
And they're going to play until they screw it. They're just going to play until October or whatever. They don't care. I think they'll do something, right?
Well, they can play indoors where rain doesn't affect them.
Right. So I think they'll just play longer. I mean, it'll go normally. It's over and they'll just start up. But I think there'll be no fans.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL and college football is going to play, but there'll be no fans in the stadiums. That's my prediction, because that's how because Kirk Herbstreit, who I greatly respect, he came out today and said if he was in charge of the NCAA, he'd cancel college football next season. If he was commissioner of the NFL, he'd cancel the NFL this season. And people went crazy on him because he just thinks it's not wise and not safe. And I think the way they're going to split the difference, because it's...
We'll give you the product you like. But our players are under quarantine other than the going on the field.
Right. And the press will be kept, forget 6 feet, 20 feet back, and they'll play games in empty stadiums because in one sense, this is sad, but the NFL is almost an essential business.
Look, for me, it literally is. It literally is my business.
But for people's emotional stability, having gone through a whole 3 or 4 months of locked in, at least they can be home watching the NFL, watching games.
Well, not
I think
to
it's going to be a
mention
comfort to people.
There literally is a ton of financial ramifications of cutting everything. I mean, not just for me. Like, I know I sound like I'm biased, and I am a little bit because I work in sports. But even forget my sports show, like, how many advertisers, how many things are not going to work because they don't have sports right now? I mean, the world is. It's a fucking mess.
So I think what'll happen is right, wrong, or indifferent. I think they'll bring it back without fans in the stadium.
They'll split the difference. I like that.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
That's my guess because they're
When they're gonna like quarantine, because of the fear, if one player gets it, everyone in the league will have it like that. Because if you play one team, it just will spread like wildfire.
But I think they're going to be regularly testing players. They're going to put thermometers on their head, like I went through Germany. In Germany, they check our temperature like 4 times before I got through the air.
Yeah, they're going to be quarantined. The players will be very on a strict. I mean, they can't right now. NFL players can't travel like anywhere.
Yep,
they're very like highly like Samson's stuck at home, and they won't let him leave. Not only just because he's in LA, but literally they're like, you can't travel anywhere. Even before, like, this was weeks ago. This happened before everything else was shut down. Before, when you could fly anywhere, they're like, you can't fly anywhere.
Yeah, because their NFL understands they've got an asset they need to protect.
Yep, and that's their players. I mean,
yep. So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, how are you handling? Like I said, I learned I don't want to go in apocalypse, and I'm trying to stay normal. Like I definitely have like taken a big financial hit, but I think honestly, like, actually my numbers are about the same on Strong Opinion Sports, but I think fewer videos are getting monetized because I think there are just fewer ads for YouTube to put over stuff. But I am okay a little for the most part, and I'm glad. But I mean, emotionally, it's like, how do I watch? I mean, I don't know about you. Like when I'm trying to talk about sports, and I'm like, does this matter? Like, and I got to tell myself people want the entertainment, and it's good for people who are stuck at home. But I've been really struggling. Like I'm trying to watch Tom Brady film, and I'm like, how do I do that when I can't? When I just watch Contagion and the world's falling apart. How do you feel about all this, like emotionally?
So I got a thing that just makes me grumpy that I struggle with that we'll talk about in a bit. But big picture, for me, there's days that I am more productive and days that I'm not productive.
Yeah.
Because it's discouraging. I have lots of friends that have businesses that are culinary, bars and restaurants in Portland area. And I know that bars and restaurants were shut down across the country, but I don't know all those people. I know the people in Portland.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing 10 to 20% of the restaurants shut down are never coming back. Again, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, but you see the guy hop a PDX and you're like, oh, man, like.
Well, Hoppa's going to make it. I'm pulling for him.
Okay.
But I have clients that have essential businesses, and part of it, I get to put heart and soul in helping them. I filmed with one yesterday for the first time, had to make a really cool video, and it's going to help him. And if I can help these businesses survive, that gives me a sense of purpose. Sure. And they're essential businesses. Yeah. They're in the food world, and that's really good. But there's days where I'm just discouraged. I'm just not going to get anything done today. And I've learned to bracket that. So like today, I was filming a client that has an essential business and working with them. I'm here tonight, and tomorrow I already have scheduled to do nothing. The video that I filmed yesterday, I'm not going to edit till Sunday or Monday because I will have no emotional energy because I'm going to hear about more deaths. And then I get, because of all the care I gave people professionally years ago, I get 3 or 4 people a day reaching out to me privately through Instagram, DMs or Facebook private messaging or just texting me for encouragement. And and that's what I do is I care for people. So I've just been giving care. Kevin's the same way.
Yeah.
He's giving care to a lot of people, and it's tiring. And so I've just learned to accept that some days I'm going to be good and some days I'm not. And I just have to accept that because I'm creative. And when you're a creative, it takes energy to be creative. And then when you got this shit going on, it's really hard to be creative.
It's so fucking irritating because I know there's an audience stuck at home that wants content. And I actually did better when everyone's stuck at home, and you would think like, oh, Zach, it's your time to shine. Like, all you gotta do is stay at home and make videos. Like, hell yeah. And I've been way less productive since all this happened because it feels like there's a weight over me all the time. It's like I wish I could just watch, but I can't all the time. I just can't be as creative.
Because you're watching Tom Brady videos and saying, wow, what does it matter? Another 970 people died today in Italy.
Yeah, or we'll even have an NFL season next year. Literally, I'm like, well, what if I make this video about how next year is going to go? We don't even have a next year. Like, it's hard for me. Like, it's so silly, but it's true. Like,
that stuff weighs on you. And I think a really good thing for people that are wrestling with it, this may sound counterintuitive, but the thing that you're freaking out about, that you're terrified about, that you're worried about, say it out loud.
Just own it.
Own it, get it out. Say, this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that the NFL is going to be shut down and that's going to ruin my life, or I'm afraid that my restaurant isn't going to go under. And just saying it out loud takes some of the fear away, and you bring stuff into the light of day. And when you speak about it out loud, it sounds counterintuitive, but it really helps because then it's not this fear kind of lingering in the back of your heart or the back of your mind. You barfed it out on the table, and you can look at it and say, okay, what happens if? We've been through you and I, through two incredible, a personal and financial crisis. We lost Zane. That was life-changing. Then we went through the Great Recession. We literally ended up homeless. And I know what it's like when you hear a noise out in the front yard and you run out to the front yard and a guy is repossessing the minivan that was so precious to us. And that was just gut-wrenching because there was just no money to pay for it. And what a loss. And so there are going to be people that are going to have that kind of crap happen to them, but they'll get through it. The ones that don't die, and I hope very few people do, but people will get through it. And, that happened, in 2011, and things are way better now. Now I have a RAV4. Everything's great. But there was that heartache, and you just have to, here's the worst thing that can happen, and we're going to be homeless, where we're going to live. Oh, okay, we're going to live in a garage. So we've been through it. And I want people to know that they'll get through it. Just what's the worst that can happen, and then press on.
That's crazy. 2011 is when Contagion came out, and I've been trying to figure out why was that not on my radar? Why did I not see that movie? I was a freshman in high school. I wasn't even paying it. I mean, I wasn't really until I was in college that I started paying attention even to movies coming out. Like I literally didn't. Yeah. I just wasn't that aware of the world yet when I was in that point in my life. Isn't that crazy? Like to me, I don't know. I had something I wanted to say. I don't forget what it was. It's just dark, man. Dark times that are not.
It's dark times, but we'll get through it. It'll pass.
I hope so.
So the thing that irritates me, that I'm struggling with a lot, and I hesitate to speak of this, but there's some movies that I think you should see in your lifetime. 2 of them in particular. I think you should see Schindler's List.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew it.
And I never want to see that movie again, but I would watch it with you because it's that important. I want to be there when you watch it. And I want to help you unpack it and process it. And there's a couple scenes that are going to break your heart, but it's real.
Isn't that Liam Neeson or somebody?
It's real. It's history. It's important to see. And then Saving Private Ryan is another one.
Seen it. Great.
Oh, my God.
The opening scene is like...
And I had the privilege of talking to people that went on to Normandy and were there and said that is exactly what it was like.
Wow.
And so my metaphor, and if you haven't seen those two movies, if you're a young person, you haven't seen those two movies, I encourage you to watch it, but don't watch them alone. They're really rough. Partially because they're true stories and they show
Sure.
the awfulness of humanity in a real form. But in my head, the people that stormed Normandy, that went off those boats and ran into those beaches with bullets flying, were heroes.
On either side, honestly, like
Well, the Germans, maybe, I don't know. They're trying to take over the world. They were the villains.
fair
in my
enough.
opinion.
But I just think it's horrifying to be on the beach on either side is just terrifying to me. Like,
Well, I would rather be shooting
No,
at
definitely.
the people coming out of the boat. But
I think the ignorance of that statement saying like both sides, but it just can you imagine either side like
horrifying,
yeah, I guess that's my point. It's like the horrifying nature of
War.
either side
War
of
is
war.
horrifying.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I think they're heroes, and they had the equipment they needed. They had helmets,
Yeah.
which may or may not have stopped bullets, but it stopped some. They had guns. They had lots of bullets themselves, and they stormed the beach. And there's that one scene, since you've seen it, it's a brutal scene where the guy gets a glancing blow of a bullet on his helmet, and he's horrified, and he takes his helmet off and looks at it, and then he gets shot in the head because he took off his stupid helmet. I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
But they had their equipment, and I think them as heroes. And I think if I was married to someone in the military, I would count the cost and say, okay, you might die in a war. That's the deal. If I was married to a police officer, if I had a husband or a wife who was a police officer, I would know, hey, cops sometimes don't come home. It's a brutal thing. A great respect for that. My dad was a police officer, and I would accept that. Okay, this is part of the deal. I don't know that medical professionals are in that same category in my head.
They don't sign up for maybe when I go to work I might die.
I don't think so.
No, and I don't think their spouses sign up for that.
I surely didn't.
Yeah,
And
because your wife's a nurse, to be clear. Like,
nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
She's not just a nurse. She's
Yeah.
a nurse practitioner. She's
Yeah.
really badass. And it's hard for me that we're sending the medical profession, we're telling them to get off the boat and storm Normandy without a helmet and a gun with one bullet.
you don't have the tools you need.
They don't have protective gear.
Yeah.
I know people that are being given a single-use gown, a single-use mask, a single-use goggles, single-use hood thing that you're supposed to use one time, and said, this is what you get for the next few months. You're supposed to use it once. Now, the reason there's no equipment, as far as I can tell, is the CEOs of hospitals and medical providers and institutions said, oh, we used to stockpile and we'll save money and not. So I don't think the burden is on the medical professionals to codependently enable the dysfunction, say, well, that guy screwed up, but I'm going to go and storm Normandy without the equipment I need.
The motherfuckers making financial decisions at the top. I mean, it's kind of like I'm watching the TV show Deputy, and the wife has none of the. The wife is a doctor in the
That's
show.
a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, and the wife is like thinking of quitting her job because the hospital she's at isn't financially given the resources they need. And she's been asked to fire people. Her hands are tied all the time because the hospitals run financial as a business rather than as an institution to help people.
Right.
And that's how all hospitals are, sadly.
And this is where it gets tough for me because I have respect for people that put their lives on the line and go into tough things and do the situation. But if you know you're going to die or you might die and you're risking your life because you don't have the equipment you need, I'm not a big fan of suicide. The reason I'm not a fan of suicide is because the people that commit suicide, there's people like you and I who are left.
Yeah.
And, I heard the story of this doctor who has 2 young children and a spouse and knows that they might get coronavirus, so they're going to rent an Airbnb and not go home at night and stay at a separate place to care for strangers. And in the post, they might die because they don't have the protective gear they need. And everyone was saying, what a hero. And I was thinking, what about your 2 kids, your 2 young kids? What about your spouse?
Are you really a hero if you're abandoning your family?
So being a survivor of suicide, being someone that was left.
Your son killed himself. My brother killed himself.
And we're left. Zane died. He committed suicide, and we're still here. Or people that like it, whatever they say, death by suicide. I'm sorry.
Whatever the politically correct thing is, we get in trouble. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't
Zane
care.
died, right? And he killed himself.
And we're left. So those 2 kids, you're saying the strangers that you're going to care for are more important than your 2 kids and your spouse. And I have the weird perspective, know what it's like to be left behind when someone makes a bad choice. Now, if those doctors had all the protective gear and they put it on, care for one person, tear it off, put on the next, I think it's noble, and at least they've got a fighting chance not to get it.
But if you get blood on your apron, that's a single-use thing, and you got to use it again for the next guy. And
one of the big problems you've probably heard is ventilators. You got it's a tube you shove down someone's throat and it breathes for them.
Yeah.
And the problem they have in Italy is 3 people walk into the hospital, an 80-year-old, an 80-year-old, a 50-year-old. They're all about to die. You only have one ventilator, so they put the 50-year-old on the ventilator and they put the 2 80-year-olds in the hall to die. And in a few hours, 80-year-olds are dead. And that's horrible choices people are having to make. But when you shove the tube down their throat, you aerosolize the virus. The virus goes into the air because it's not easy to shove a tube down someone's throat. And if you don't have protective gear, you're really risking your life or risking your health, let alone
risking getting sick of the same virus.
Yes, and then taking it home to your family. And so I would say, hey, if you have the protective gear, wow, it's noble that you're willing to do that. Count the cost. But hey, when they don't even have the protective gear and they do it anyways, it's just painful for me because it seems like madness. And I would not want my parents to do that. If I was those young kids, I'd be like, no, mom, or no, dad, I don't want you. And like everyone says, well, who's going to care for those people? I don't know. I don't know who's going to care for them, but it's very painful to me. And I'm sorry they're put in that situation, but maybe the guy or gal that made the decision not to take the equipment should be put on trial for murder. I don't know.
That's what's infuriating is it really reminds me of when the stock market crashed years ago, right? And the people at the top making the decisions didn't get in trouble, didn't go to jail, nothing happened to them, and the people below them are the people that got fucked. Yep. The country got fucked. And if I may for a minute, it's really irritating that the people that made the decision did not. What's sad, I think, is that we're not going to see change. I hope so. I fucking hope the medical system completely gets overhauled from this, but I don't think it will. And that's what's frustrating and sad is that the people at the top will continue to make the same decision that they made months ago that got us into this situation in the first place.
Well, and the medical community, there's a big martyr syndrome in it. It's noble to work 10 hours instead of 8. It's noble to put in your extra time. It's noble to serve. And they've got this whole martyr system where they have dysfunctional work environments and they accept it as okay because that's how medicine is. And it's like, no, it shouldn't be that way. Years ago, I had a friend that discovered that pastors were often workaholics and they would work 60, 80 hours a week. So he complained to his boss and his boss said, well, that's how it is. And it's okay that that's how it is. And he's like, no, that's not okay. If that's not healthy.
Well, it's kind of like I know someone who works at a zoo and they're so torn and heartbroken because on one hand, they love their animals and but they also realize that it's kind of fucked up. Like the zoo is kind of awful. Like you have elephants that want to roam miles a day in Africa that are in Portland at the zoo fucking stuck and can't go anywhere. They literally have like a tiny little pen. That's not good for an elephant, but you can't put them back. And it's like catch-22 that never ends. You're like, well, shit, like I want to help the elephants. I want to work with them. I want to do this. But also, it's terrible. Like you're kind of, your hands are tied. You're like, I don't know what to do. I didn't make this decision. I didn't choose this, but I'm stuck with it. And do you quit your job because in protest? But you're just going to replace you with someone else? Well,
but then at least that doctor wouldn't die, and the doctor's kids
and
spouse wouldn't
I'm
lose
talking
them.
about the zoo.
Yeah.
It's different because if you go work for the elephants, you fucking might die. That's it's like
So every time I see all of the doctors in Italy who are dying, doctors and nurses who are dying, it just breaks my heart. And again, if they had the protective gear, I would feel better about it, but they just don't, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's sad. You hear about. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Jeff Bezos and stuff, but it's like he's like. Did you hear that? See how he was like asking for people to donate to some fund to help Amazon workers? It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, so out of touch with how much money he makes, and he's asking for the public to donate money. It's like it was just weird. I didn't.
So Columbia Sportswear has their stores closed.
Yeah.
Got an email today. They're going to keep their stores closed, I think, through, I don't know, April 10th or April 15th or something, and they're going to continue to pay their employees. Now, at some point, they won't be able to. Yeah. But the fact that they're even trying, wow, how awesome is that?
Yeah. Yeah,
and I get it, and not every company can do that.
Yeah.
There's a big company in Portland that laid off everybody and now is asking people, hey, hold your checks. We're trying to get the money together for you to make the checks because they just, particularly in the restaurant business, you just don't make very much money. And so I don't
You're almost like at living paycheck to paycheck if you run a restaurant.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And so as business, you're paycheck to paycheck. And so I don't fault the people that can't, but boy, it sure is cool when a company says, hey, we can and we're going to.
Yeah. Well, Amazon is interesting because they're kind of becoming an essential. it's sad and kind of scary and true that like this is the time Amazon takes over. Like you ever watch Wall-E? And there's like that company that like Buy-Mart that runs the world. Amazon's like moving in a position to take over the fucking planet when everything else, like if we lose 40% of our stores throughout the country, Amazon just replaces all of them with their, like kind of, again, I don't want to be, but it is kind of true. Like that's where we're headed, honestly. Like it's weird. I feel weird about all of it. I just talk about sports and leave it alone. But it's funny. I don't ever think about or talk about this stuff, but it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about a fun topic.
Please.
Relevant.
Actually, first, before we do,
okay,
it's interesting. Like I encourage people that we're alive at a really interesting time. Like we are. Like we're always going to talk about. Remember coronavirus? I will always be. When I hear of cherry vanilla Coke, I'm always going to think of coronavirus because it's just we ended up getting 4 cases. Like we went and got 2, and the lady's like, "You want 4? It comes with 2 free ones." So we have now 4 cases of fucking cherry vanilla Coke. So like I will always. They'll always kind of be kind of stuck in my head when they'll just be, what do you call the word, stuck together. My point is that I'm always going to think of the two.
They're
linked. Yeah, there you go. And I encourage people that are alive at this time in the world, pay attention. Like, take it all in because people are always going to ask you, where were you when coronavirus
This is
happened?
history. People will study this.
Yeah.
This is a pandemic. I mean, to deal with Karen, works in hospice, and I've worked in hospice, and there's a lot of gallows humor, and so the way I've been dealing with my stress about this is some gallows humor and things that I could only tell her. It's like we were cheering the other day, for martinis, and like here's to our first pandemic.
Also, why aren't you calling them quarantinis? Liz has been watching her Instagram story going, they got to call them quarantinis. That's funnier.
I just can't go there. We have martinis, and we're going to...
Liz goes, your dad had another quarantini. I'm like, damn it, Liz.
Nope, they're martinis. I'm just going to... I get dressed up now for dinner, because I'm not going out.
Yeah.
So I get dressed up really nice for dinner, and Karen thinks it's hilarious, and she puts on Frank, and we have martinis, and try to make some normalness, some normalcy.
Well, it's sad. Liz and I were talking about this even like 2 weeks ago, and she goes, my fear, maybe a month ago even, like literally when it was all beginning, I think right before sports got shut down is when you said this. You said, my fear is that we're always going to talk about before and after coronavirus. Like it's going to be a big monumental, kind of like 9/11.
Yeah.
The way people talk about, remember before? Where were you when it happened?
Yep.
What happened at, what was the impact? And it's a similar type of 9/11 style event where we're always going to remember it. We're always going to talk about where were you? What was your story of coronavirus? How did you live through it? Like, it is an interesting, you're right, history. Pay attention, yeah, because you're always going to be asked, like your kids are going to want to know about it. Like literally, like when I talk to my kids someday, I'm probably going to be like.
Or your grandkids.
Yeah, like, Blank and I were stuck and it, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, always going to remember it. It's a weird time. So pay attention.
So now can we talk about something good?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that because I was like, I had that thought earlier and I didn't say it.
So this is a fun, good topic to release the stuff. Haven't prepped you for it, but I'm opinionated as F about this. So when we're done here, we're going to watch Hoosiers, which you've not seen.
No.
And then in the next episode, we'll do a review of Hoosiers, which I'm super excited
I'm
about.
probably also going to talk about it on Strong Opinion Sports because there's not much else to talk about in the sports world. So
there you
get
go.
a double dipping of Hoosiers.
Maybe I should come back as a guest on Strong Opinion Sports.
Maybe. I mean,
hey, I did really good that one time.
You did. You did.
And that's partially why I'm hesitant to go back because I nailed it. So
like, how dare I? You know what's funny, if I may, about that? You were you and I were talking about Joe Burrow, and you were like, I don't think Joe Burrow should go to the Bengals, and he's pulling Eli Manning. And we fucking said that 2 months before everyone else said that. We started that. Very fairly, am I this ballsy? And like, we started something. We fucking started that trend when we made the first video on the internet saying Joe Burrow should pull an Eli Manning and not go to the Bengals. We were the first fucking people to say that in America. I'm very proud of that.
Yep. There's no recorded, written down anyone saying it before us.
No. Go fucking try to find it. We were the first motherfuckers to say that and break that opinion. Because the opinions work in waves. It's not a story, but we broke that opinion. We were the first people to share that goddamn thing, and everyone else copied us because they're like, oh, they're getting clicks. We should get clicks on it too.
I thought it was so funny when Colin mentioned it, and in all the comments, Zach Shomler said this. Zach Shomler said this 2 weeks ago. Zach Shomler said this a month ago.
Quit copying Strong Opinion Sports.
And I love it when he begins his thing. So the other day, he began his show. I've got strong opinions.
Well, it's funny. I feel like
And he's probably not thinking of you,
maybe,
but I am.
Some people have sent me clips recently where I don't watch Colin Cowherd, I don't listen to his show, but I guess he's been saying things like, "I know there are young kids out there with strong opinions. I got strong opinions too."
He
And
does
I'm like,
say that. Yes, I've seen him say it.
Damn, like, what's up, Colin?
But I almost felt bad for him because he had.
Oh, fuck you! He should. I get called that every day. All my comments are always stop copying Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. He can get it once. Fucking Colin Cowherd can get called copying me one time.
There's like 30 comments on that video. You're copying Strong Opinion Sports.
Good.
You're copying Zach Shomler.
Fuck yeah, because every video I fucking ever have put out, people accuse me of copying him or copying other fucking people in the sports world. I'm glad he got a taste of that fucking feeling because he doesn't even read that shit. He doesn't give a fuck. I shouldn't care either. Hey, fuck you.
He might read it. He might read it.
He probably. I mean, he is saying there's some young kids out there that have strong opinions.
So Colin, if you're listening, I think you should have Zach on as a guest. I'll come take photos.
Bro,
it would
I'll
be
do
fun.
a film analysis for you. I mean, that's funny. Like, I'm getting known around the country as the quarterback guy. Like,
You are the quarterback analyst.
well, it was so cool the other day.
QBanalyst.com,
Yep.
quarterbackanalyst.com. We own those domains, bitches.
It was really affirming. There's a quarterback coach I really, really massively respect named Sam Fisher who does Throw to Win on Instagram. And he found my show, and I followed him for about a year. Like, I'm a big fan of him, and I'm bigger than him on the internet. But he was talking to me and goes, dude, it's really cool to talk to a peer, talk to someone who gets quarterbacks. And it was so affirming because people all the time are like, you don't fucking know what you're talking about. You don't know jack shit. Like, people are very mean to me on the internet.
Yep.
And to have a guy who I massively respect, who clearly knows what the fuck he's talking about with quarterbacks, come on my show and tell me, like, treat me as a peer, as an equal.
Yep.
And even a little bit, he was very reverent towards me. And, it seems like he liked my stuff. I was like, this is pretty cool. It's affirming of me, like, yeah, bro, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. If Sam Fisher thinks I do, I fucking do. Like,
You are the quarterback analyst, and people can go to quarterbackanalyst.com and see all of your videos.
but my hope is that someday
I love that we own those domains.
I hope that someday I get big enough that I get called on the shows to do quarterback analysis stuff. I think it'll happen someday.
I would love for you to go on Colin and
I
do
will
a quarter.
call
you
into
could-
shows.
Hey, Colin, it'd be a big meat sandwich with Zach Shomler, quarterback meat sandwich. You know how you like those meat sandwiches? I love Colin, and I love you, and to have you two together, oh, man, it'd be like...
Well, like, I'm working on Tom Brady right now. I'm working on a Tom Brady film analysis video, and it's been hard for me to, because I've been finding clips that don't exactly agree with everything I've been saying, and I had to, like, completely remove my ego. Like, it's easier to do with every other quarterback, but Tom Brady's so built up that, like, I have to remove my ego and any opinion I've ever had about Tom Brady.
And your love and respect for him.
Yeah, I just look at what am I finding on tape? What am I seeing on film?
What does the film say?
And trying to just stick to that question. What does the film say? And trying to, like, because it's hard.
We own that one too. What does the film say.com?
Film analysis videos are so hard because as you're watching film, you're trying to figure out what the narrative is, and you have to be open-minded enough to, like, well, this pokes a hole in it, and this pokes a hole, and where do I? And just asking what does it say, and trying to be as honest and open about that as possible. And it's been daunting for me. I'm like 4 games in, and I'm still like, I don't know where this is headed yet. I'm seeing good and bad.
This video comes out first, so Colin can reach out to you and have you talk about your Tom Brady quarterback analysis on his show.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think even if I do, I'm not giving that to someone else. I'm putting out
You could put out the video
hear me out.
and
I'm
then
putting
go
out
on it.
exactly what I'm saying is I could put out a Tom Brady film analysis video, and then call into a bunch of shows and say, here's what I found. Here's what my video says. Here's what I found in my findings, in my research. It's just a research piece, honestly. Like, I love him, but again, it is hard, especially with Tom Brady. I have to remove any ego or any preconceived notions I have, and just be very much like, what am I finding? What is here, and not let my preconceived notions guide the narrative there. It's been interesting there.
All right, so before we watch Hoosiers, now we'll get to the fun part. So for editing, they can start right here. Now we got some fun stuff that we
Liz
can talk
is
about.
editing. Liz, this is the moment, right? Here, and by the way, Liz, if you're listening, she is listening. Leave the part of me talking to you in it because I think that's more fun. Don't cut me out.
That's right.
Let me in. I want the viewers to hear me. I want you to hear me. We're all talking to you. Now we can go to Hoosiers.
No, it's not. It's not Hoosiers. The fun part is what's going to happen before Hoosiers. And I think I'm an authority on this. You may be the quarterback analyst, but I'm an authority on BLTs.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Hey, by the way, I hope you know, the last 2 nights in a row, you know what Liz and I have had?
What?
BLTs.
BLTs. So
2 nights ago we had BLTs. Last
So-
night we had BLTs with 2 chicken strips in it.
So that was not right, by the way.
a
That
chicken
was-
strip BLT.
That is not right. I saw the photos on your Instagram story, and that was not funny. I was not amused. So I literally own and do Portland BLT Week.
Yeah.
And I did it in 2017. I did it in 2019. Restaurants pay me money to be in Portland BLT Week. You can go to portlandbltweek.com and check out the website. You can go to the Portland BLT Week YouTube channel and watch the videos. It's a real thing. And each year we've had about 10 restaurants, and I don't think I'm going to do it in 2020. But maybe I thought someday I'll be done with it. But now I feel like I need to come back in 2021.
The resurgence of BLT Week again.
And to help, and I promote restaurants. I really do help promote restaurants, and it's fun. So because a BLT is my absolute favorite sandwich.
I totally agree.
And I'm pretty. What makes it now? I love in Portland BLT Week. They don't have to make a literal exact BLT. They can riff on it. They can make a dish inspired by BLTs. I've had some pasta dishes that were amazing that were inspired by BLTs. So BLT Week, it's fun. Have fun with it. Come up with cool, creative stuff. Just so someone's eating it goes, oh, I see where you were going there, right? But at home, there's some rules.
Can I say one? I know the first rule. It's for me. And after that, it's all you.
Okay.
But I fucking will never eat a BLT that's not on sourdough bread. It's not it's in my mind. If you put all the contents of a BLT on any bread other than sourdough, it's not a BLT to me. I will not eat it. I don't want it. It's not. I went to a restaurant with Liz when we were going to Bandon, Oregon. On our way to Bandon, we stopped and got a BLT. And I was so glad they came on sourdough. And I was like, why do you even have an option for other bread? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It has to be on sourdough.
Now, just for the record, the first year Portland BLT Week, a food cart did the cheap bacon that kind of curls and white bread and mayonnaise and iceberg lettuce.
I could see the white bread working.
Yeah, and it was not as good in my world as sourdough, but it still worked.
I could see white bread
working. It was like a classic old school diner from the 50s BLT.
That white bread's the only other bread that I think could, because it's very similar to BLT, to sourdough. But for me, it has to be sourdough.
Yeah, got to have sourdough at home now. I'm not talking about when you're being creative. That's fine. But at home, you got to have sourdough.
Yep.
You got to have Best Foods mayonnaise. And none of this Hellman's shit. I want Best Foods.
Okay.
I know east of the Rockies, it's Hellman's, but that doesn't make it right. And Miracle Whip, that stuff doesn't work. I've tried it. There's no miracles in it. No one's been
miracles in it.
Nobody's been healed.
There ain't no miracles in Miracle Whip.
It's like, someone's sick and you rub it on their forehead and nothing happens.
Hey, it does kill lice. I think that's what it does. What's the best use of Miracle Whip? It kills lice.
And that's why you don't want to eat it. It's tangy death.
No, you gotta have mustard, right?
What?
Oh, have we hit a thing? Have we hit a rift between us? You don't put mustard on your BLTs.
No, you do not put. That is immoral. That is immoral.
I put mustard on breakfast cereal. I put it on everything.
I know, you're twisted. Yeah, that's why you love Skyline chili so much. Yeah. That's an option to get mustard on.
You put mustard on oatmeal. You put mustard on grapes. You put mustard on everything.
And the best lettuce for a BLT is iceberg.
Absolutely
crunchy. It's no nutritional value. It's crappy.
Even if you can find, for me, it doesn't have to be, for me personally, it doesn't have to be iceberg as long as it's crunchy. Iceberg is the perfect lettuce because it's crunchy. But if you can find other lettuce, I don't know if there is, but if you can find other lettuce that is crunchy, great. But it has to be crunchy fucking lettuce. If it's not crunchy, it's wrong.
And thick cut bacon.
We have it downstairs. It's gonna be great.
And if it's pepper bacon, that's okay.
Yep.
Thick cut pepper bacon's okay. And then you gotta cook it in the oven. That's how you cook bacon best, is cook it in the oven.
Yeah, so I called you 2 nights ago. We were making BLTs and I was like, I think I texted you, do we have a bacon emergency? Please answer. You didn't answer, by the way, until afterwards. But we made bacon on the stove, and I was like, I know there's a way to bake it. I just figured we'd wait till you could teach us how to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to show you tonight. And then Karen wrote a recipes or merely suggestion article, recipesmostsuggestion.com, about this.
Yeah.
So we'll have her recipe. I'll give you some instruction tonight and show you how to do it. But oven-baked bacon is amazing. Set the oven at 400. Get a cookie sheet. Put down some tin foil. If you can get a thicker baker pan, that's better. They're about that thick. You put your bacon in there. You put it in the oven for about 8 minutes. You pull it out. You flip it over. You put it back in there. You don't have the splatter. You probably had a lot of splatter when you're cooking on this. Yeah, a lot of splatter.
It's hard not to. I mean, it's just...
Yeah. It cooks the bacon so perfectly. And so that at home is a perfect BLT. Sourdough bread, Best Foods mayonnaise, thick cut bacon, and iceberg lettuce. Now, the one thing you can add, it's allowed in my world, is some
Pickles?
avocado.
Avocado.
Oh, and tomatoes. Oh, you got to have tomatoes, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
what's your plan for the tomatoes?
I forgot. Yeah, you got to have tomatoes.
What's your plan? Is there a special type of tomatoes or best way to do it?
Yeah, you get those tomatoes on the vine tomatoes, and you slice them really nice. Oh, they're so good. And what I like to do is I slice them and I put them in a bowl, and I put a little bit of olive oil in them and a little bit of salt, and then I gently toss them.
Fuck. You're gonna go extra tonight. I mean, when we eat BLTs, Liz is gonna be like, Zach, everything you've ever made is wrong. Like, sorry, because you're gonna make like a restaurant quality BLT, and I'm gonna be like, I can't compete with that at all. Like, fuck.
You can. I'm gonna teach you how tonight.
Well,
how
I will
to make
say
it.
the one Liz made yesterday. You didn't like it. I had chicken strips on it,
Oh my God,
was
that's not even a BLT.
but it was basically a what do you call it? A crispy chicken sandwich with bacon and it was like, oh my fucking god,
A
it was
crispy
so
chicken
good.
sandwich with bacon sounds amazing.
It was, dude. What she made was restaurant quality. I was like, wow, this is like
Yeah, now,
really
now,
great.
Calling it a crispy chicken sandwich with bacon sounds perfect. You just don't call it a BLT with chicken strips.
Fair enough.
Marketing matters.
And we're gonna watch Hoosiers. That'll be fun.
Yep, that'll be fun. And I'm just telling you, people are there's the thing about the BLT that is important
Yeah.
is the tomato. Now, I had chefs giving me crap the first year I did Portland BLT week because I did it too late in the season and the fresh heirloom tomatoes weren't around. And they wanted the fresh heirloom tomatoes. So I moved it up last year as early as I could can't do it in August. People are busy. There's big events that happen in Portland, right the first week of September, middle of September. I can't compete with those. So but I moved it up as close as I could to still have the heirloom tomatoes. And so this year, last year, 2019 fall, we had lots of heirloom tomatoes. But here's the deal. You don't need a fucking heirloom tomato to have a BLT. I like to have a BLT in the dead of winter at a dive bar at midnight in January. When the tomato is grainy and gross, it's still really, really, really good. Come on now. That's when you know you love BLTs.
What's the key to a good tomato in a BLT? What makes the tomato work?
That you have it.
That's all. As long as it's there.
Right. It's like some people say, oh, I only have BLTs on my menu when they're heirloom. Oh, fuck that. Come on.
Now, what do they add? Is it the juiciness they add? Is it what does a tomato add to a BLT that you love so much?
Just that tomato flavor, that little bit of perfection. It works with the saltiness of the
It's like a little bit tangy.
little bit of tangy. It works with the saltiness of the bacon. It works with the creaminess of the mayonnaise, and
You
that
get a
little
salty and sweet little bit.
Yep, and that little bit of red is great for the gram, baby. You have that red, that green.
You're just like the marketing of the fucking tomato. You're like, the tomato makes it look prettier for Instagram. That's the fucking reality of this conversation.
But it tastes good. The
Fair
tomato
enough.
tastes good. And I find adequate tomatoes all year
Yeah.
long.
Well, an adequate tomato is all it takes, what you're saying. It doesn't need to be some perfect fancy
And
tomato.
I love a good heirloom tomato.
Don't let the
my
tomato
goodness.
discourage you from making
Yeah,
a BLT.
yeah, there's amazing. There's a pizza place that they do an heirloom tomato pizza every year, and it is amazing. But I still like pizza when there's not heirloom tomatoes. Come on now.
Okay, I want to talk about something. We had sad to start the show. We went back to some fun stuff with BLTs.
Yep.
I do want to go back to something, though, that is related to Corona that has been a sad realization for me.
Okay.
I've talked about Cincinnati a ton. I've been so dang excited about moving there. And one of the reasons why I wanted to move there was to go to football games this fall.
Because there's a lot of Notre Dame and
Yeah, I mean,
Indianapolis
it's
Colts
within 4
and-
hours of let's say 20 football programs, college and professional, and then another additional 15 college basketball programs. I was like, to live there for 6 months and go to events would be awesome.
Yep, every
Guess-
weekend was your plan.
yeah.
It was an adventure. Yep.
Guess what's not going on? Probably this fall is adventures. I mean, you're not gonna. If they have football, likely they're not gonna allow fans to go. Even
Yep.
if they do I really want to go?
Yep.
And then what I found, so as all that was going on, as sports got canceled, and I was realizing, well, crap. If I go to Cincinnati, I'm just gonna live I love the city of Cincinnati, but I'm not gonna go on all those cool adventures, which was the point of moving there.
Right. You weren't just looking for a cool city to live in.
Yeah.
It was a base of operations.
Yes. And then the other sad reality is, as I've looked into, okay, if I do move there, how are the internet speeds? And I've looked around, and unfortunately, Ohio is actually one of the slowest internet areas in the fucking country. Like, in America, Ohio has one of the worst internet, and probably is, if there was like a bunch of tiers, Ohio's in the lowest tier. In like Detroit has fast internet, Ohio, all of Ohio, Cincinnati is actually the worst. Some of it, literally in the country, internet speeds. It's just terrible. Now, terrible's relative. I mean, you can still get, if you want 400 megabytes per second download speed, like if you want to play video games, it's great. Like you can have a very functional internet speed in Cincinnati. For most normal people, like if you're playing video games at home, it's great. The problem is I'm not really a normal person that just uses regular internet speeds. I need very fast, high-speed internet.
Because you're uploading an hour and a half long, 2 hour long videos.
Yeah, I need the fastest possible in the country. I need like 1,000 megabytes per second, and I need that for upload speed, not download speed. So I need crazy high speeds, and they just don't have it. You can get adequate in Cincinnati for a normal human. You can't get adequate for YouTubing in Cincinnati. And so I'm like, crap. Well, I can't go on adventures, and I can't even get internet speeds. It's just not acceptable. Like what I found, every option is unacceptable. It's slower than here, and here is too slow for me.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't move somewhere and downgrade internet speeds. That's just terrible.
Yeah, you're just barely getting by with the speed here where we live now.
It takes me an hour and a half to upload a 10 gigabyte file to YouTube, and it's ridiculous.
And you don't want to go from that to a place that's going to make you twice as slow or twice as long or 3 times as long.
Yeah, it's already literally hard for me to do business. So what I've looked around the country is I've found AT&T fiber is offered in very specific parts of the country. But they're them and Verizon Fios, but Verizon Fios is literally only in Manhattan. That's why when I was in Manhattan, my internet speed were unbelievable. My fucking my video takes an hour and a half here, upload in 6 minutes in Manhattan. I was like, wow.
So from an hour and a half, 90 minutes to upload
here.
The same length video in Manhattan, it uploaded in 6 minutes.
Yes.
From 90 to 6.
Yes. So I'm gonna move somewhere where my internet speeds can be similar to that. Now, what are my options? Like LA, but I'm not going to Southern California. It's too expensive. No way.
Yeah.
I could go to Kent, Washington, where Amazon and Microsoft are, but that's too cold, and I don't want to live in Seattle.
Lots of traffic and very expensive.
It's literally like I might as well move to LA if I'm going to move to Kent, Washington. It's like literally terrible.
I would rather be in LA than Kent, Washington.
Yeah. The traffic's literally worse in Seattle than LA.
Yeah.
And it's cold. Fuck no. I could move to New York, but that's crazy expensive. I can't afford New York.
Well, and
I don't want to.
Tragedies happening there. So
yeah, I couldn't. I maybe could find a way to be miserable. I could find the cheapest place possible. I just don't want to live. It's not a good quality of life in New York for me to live there.
Yeah.
I could maybe make it work, but it would suck. So what I found is, okay, my options with fast internet are all along the Gulf of Mexico, like Texas, Mobile, Alabama. Actually, is really Mobile, fucking Alabama has better internet than here. What the fuck? Like, who would have thought that, right? Like, Mississippi does all up and down Florida. The coast does Jacksonville, the other side, Tampa Bay does, Miami does. Literally the entire eastern coast of Florida from Jacksonville down to Miami, not Pensacola, whatever the stuff is there. All Daytona has great internet. All have great internet. Every city there's if you look on AT&T Fiber, there's 70 cities between Jacksonville, Miami, all have the highest internet speeds in America. And then, lo and behold, what I found is Charleston, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina, which are temperate weather. It's not as muggy and humid like Tampa Bay or Jacksonville. It's a little bit more moderate heat. And it's kind of where I found that's probably where I'm going to go in August, is to go live in Wilmington or Charleston, North or South Carolina, where the weather stays it's going to high 80s in the summer, and then mid 60s, the high 50s in the winter. It's warmer there. It's way faster internet. It's a lot cheaper to live than it is here. And it kind of checks all the boxes of wanted. Now, the only thing I can find is that Wilmington is got a higher movie production stuff. So if I want to ever, if my friends or I ever want to go work on movies there, you could do it in Wilmington. You can't in Charleston. Charleston's probably a better city. And then it looks like Charleston is a little bit safer from hurricanes than Wilmington is, which is I think maybe Charleston's the move, because I don't want to have my business affected for a couple days where I have no power and can't upload stuff because a hurricane wiped out the town. So I don't know what you're looking up, but I found that probably where I'm going to go in August, instead of Cincinnati, which is heartbreaking and sad to me, probably going to go to Charleston, South Carolina, where it's warm, there's fast internet, it's cheaper to live, and it's I think if you look up the prettiest places in America to live, literally number one, fucking Charleston. And I found that out after I literally figured out every other checklist on the box. So what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What did you look up?
Charleston has an amazing culinary scene.
So you're I'd love to visit you there.
Oh yeah, I'd love to visit there. And then you don't know this now, but you'll be in what's called the Low Country.
What's that?
It's a geographic area that's kind of low, and the beaches and etc. It's also a certain culture, and Charleston is part of Low Country. And then they do this thing called the Low Country Boil.
Is that crawdads?
No, yeah, like it's a seafood boil. Yeah,
Yeah.
It just depends what they put in it. But yeah, I think that would be awesome for you to check out because it's going to be a very, very different culture. A very, very different culture.
Well, what's been interesting is like Wilmington is because really it's come down to those two places for me, and I'm going to try to go visit them if I can, if it's even possible in July. But what I found is Wilmington is a lot like cheaper and quieter, but it's like the difference in rent is like $400. So it's like it's a lot, but it's not so great. It's not New York it's not that big a difference. And I've been kind of weighing the differences. It's a little bit warmer in Charleston. It's definitely prettier in Charleston.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Charleston's a cooler city. Wilmington's a lot more quiet, which I don't mind. I'm an introvert. I don't want to be bothered. I want to be able to work in my house and be left alone. But I was sitting there with Liz. We were talking about it, and I'm like, well, the difference in rent is like $300, right? And am I really going to cheap out and go to a city that's not as cool? And just because I don't love going out on the town doesn't mean I don't want the option to do that. And if we lived there for 15 years, wouldn't you want to always be able to like, why go somewhere with fewer options? That doesn't make sense, right? Like,
and there's beautiful coast right there near Charleston.
Yeah. So I think my guess is probably in September I'm going to move to Charleston, South Carolina.
So I think one of my books that I was going to have published this year is going to be pushed off a year just because of all this. I think it's going to come out fall of 2021.
Yeah.
I think everything's being pushed off a year, and I want you to go and have adventure. I'm 100% behind that, right?
Yeah.
Allow yourself the ability to know maybe I don't move until spring of 2021 or summer of 2021 just because of how economics and life and settling. And
well, what's sad is like my landlord wants to like sell the place I live, and so I have I have to go somewhere in September. If I'm gonna go somewhere, shouldn't I just go where I want to go? Like, I'm kind of torn and I'm in a weird
just
place.
See what finances are and what the economy.
And maybe he goes, you can sign a 6-month lease and stay for football season. That might be what happens.
Yep.
Probably would take that because I think the market's really bad right now.
Yep.
But it's just weird and interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. But it is an option. I think whenever I go somewhere, probably going to be Charleston.
And so you heard that I'm not saying don't go.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
no.
just saying it just might be 6 months later than you want.
My thought process, too, is if I can try to make it happen in September to go to Charleston, the housing market will still be cheaper a year from now. So my thought is if I can go there now, rent for a year, find a place to establish myself, and then go, okay, that's because you want to, when you live somewhere, you kind of get a sense of this is a neighborhood I actually want to be in. But if you don't live there, it's hard to get a sense of that.
Yes, yep.
So if I can move there for a little while, rent for a year or 6 months,
get the lay of the land,
then buy a house after another year, assuming everything stays, like assuming sports are okay, and I even have a business,
right.
But it's that's my thought. What do you think of Charleston just as a place?
As far as everything I've seen and known, it's great. It would be fun to go do culinary stories there.
And thanks for warning me. I'm aware. Like, I know. I don't even know what's going to happen. Like, who knows? Everything's up in the air right now.
Yep. But
I've learned Cincinnati wasn't possible, and I had to grieve that for a little while. I was like, fuck, like, I can't have any of the stuff I want there.
If out of the blue someone says, hey, I got high speed for you in Cincinnati that's as fast as here or fiber, you're open to hearing from them.
Not if I can't go to sports.
Right, I understand. But
yeah.
But at least you're open to hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm not against it. But it'd still be a quick stop. Like, and then the more I think about it, like, how much do I actually like? You and I went to football games every weekend, right? And I was lucky because during the XFL season, there's only 4 games a weekend. Here's the reality of me going to an NFL game every weekend. It's fucking tiring. I'll get it. It would be truly. And then I'm at one game, I can't watch the other games and can't know what's going on at the other games. And then I got to go home. So I just don't have, I think I would really be unproductive at work if I was traveling every weekend for football games.
I think a better plan for your football adventures is once a month for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to Notre Dame in October, and I'm going to Lambeau Field in December, and every month during football season for the next 4 or 5 years, you take a monthly trip.
I think so, or even every other month. Because I think the reality is what makes me happy is the same experience fans get, which I like watching football on TV. I like making nachos. I like hanging out. I like sitting on my couch doing my thing. And I don't really like I think it'd be cool to go to Lambeau. I think it'd be cool to go to a Michigan football game. But do I really want that experience every weekend? Not really.
Well, not when you have to watch all the NFL games and all the college games for work.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it's a better work experience and it's a better fan experience to sit at home and to have a man cave in Charleston, South Carolina, where I work and hang out and do my thing.
Yep.
Honestly, sounds like a better experience at this point in my journey, and so I had to do a lot of thinking about it. But Corona got me headed in that direction, realizing like, fuck, if I can't go to games, I really want to be in Cincinnati, and then internet's not there, and then what I really want, and it's just I've done a lot of thinking and journaling, and so I'm probably not going to go to Cincinnati, and whenever I do leave this area, I'm going to Charleston next. Is my next thought.
That's your current plan.
Yeah, unless because I'm going to go to Wilmington and Charleston, I'm going to fly there and drive to
Check it
probably
out.
fly to Charleston. See, like, is Wilmington better? Because it's 2 hours away. Might as well, and then pick one of the two cities. But I want to go somewhere warm. I want to go somewhere with faster internet, and that's what I want. So I'm going to make that happen. And I'm going to miss you. But I think I can't wait for the day you come visit me in my beach house. Like that. Or probably going to live 20 minutes from the beach.
Right.
But still, like, how fucking awesome would that be? So, it'd be cool. I want to hear about Greece now.
48 hours in Greece, man.
So, if I may, I want to maybe set the stage. You went to Greece on, was it Tuesday? You left Monday morning.
Yep.
Flew all day. So
Yep.
then you landed our time Tuesday, but because they're ahead of us, you landed really on Wednesday.
No, I landed on Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
I landed Tuesday morning in Munich.
Tuesday morning in Munich.
Tuesday Munich time, which is about 10 hours ahead of us.
Got it.
So it's Tuesday morning when I land, but it's
Monday night for us.
Yeah, late Monday night. Yep.
Yep.
And my plane is supposed to leave like in 2 hours and go from in 2 hours, around noon roughly, a 2-hour flight to Thessaloniki. I'm in Thessaloniki at 2, check into my hotel, chill, have dinner with the other food writers, and we leave in the morning.
So Munich, Germany on 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Your flight from Munich, Germany leaves around noon.
Was supposed to leave.
Was supposed to leave around noon to go from Munich, Germany to Thessaloniki, Greece.
Yep.
So what happened?
Got to Munich and the flight to Thessaloniki was canceled.
So, by the way, if you're listening to this, I actually don't know what's like. I know like that he came home, and I know that he left. I don't really know what happened between.
We haven't talked about the trip.
No, I have no fucking idea. So you're playing. What the hell happened?
So I get to Munich, and your flight ain't happening. You're not going to.
Hey, American, you're in Germany. Good luck. What happened?
So I went. I was a guest of the Greek government, Greek National Tourism Board.
Yeah.
There was 5 of us, food and travel personalities and travel writers who went on this trip.
Yeah.
And
what a wild time to go on a trip like that.
Well, it was scheduled a long time ago.
Yeah.
When we didn't know what was going to happen.
Fucking awful, man.
So they get me another flight. So now I'm leaving at 9 o'clock at night from the Munich airport.
Oh shit.
It's 10 o'clock in Munich.
Yeah.
I'm leaving at 9 o'clock at night. So I check it out, and the Munich airport is a 45-minute train ride from Munich.
Oh, wow. So it's not in Munich, Germany at all.
No.
It's like if they put the Portland airport in Hillsborough.
Well, even farther, because it's a 45-minute high-speed train ride.
Hood River.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's way out there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, what the heck?
45 minutes on a train.
Yeah, a
which
fast
goes
train.
like 60, 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, fast. And, it just...
It could be like 45 miles away from Germany.
Yeah, I don't know how...
It's 20 at least,
Yeah.
at the very least.
Yeah, it's ways out there. So I thought, you know what? I am not going to stay... The Munich airport is beautiful. They even have a brewery at the airport.
I mean, it's massive, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's massive and huge
It's
and
a giant
beautiful
hub.
and well run, and it's phenomenal. But I'm not staying there.
Well, I think if you're an American going to Europe, it's like one of the few places that they take you to, right? Like, isn't it one of the hubs of...
Yeah, so there's a number of them. Yeah, that's one of
Yeah,
them. And
yeah.
so I'm like, I want to see Munich. And so when I was in Bozeman, Montana 2 years ago...
What the... Why... Look, I love how you tell stories. I have no fucking idea why you're bringing up Bozeman.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I'm going to tell
I'm going to let you.
So I got to do a podcast with the guy that runs the Hofbrauhaus dive bar.
Which is what?
It's a dive bar in Bozeman, Montana.
Okay.
Hofbrauhaus. I did a podcast
I don't know what that
with
word
him.
means. Is that a German word?
It's a German word, and it's named after the original Hofbrauhaus in Munich, Germany.
Got it.
So and it's been around since like 1805 or some crazy thing. I don't know, a long time ago.
Yeah.
My date's probably way wrong, but I'll have it right in my article. So I I'm there doing the podcast with the Hopper House, which is an amazing podcast. They got all this crap on the ceilings. He's telling all these stories, and I love the guy. And on the podcast, I say, so tell me about the Hopper House. They go, there's a bunch of them. They're all over Montana, and really, there's one in Munich. And I go, yeah, I kind of knew that. And said, someday I'm going to be in Munich. I'm going to go to the Hopper House. So I'm standing at the airport going, I'm here till 9. I'm going to the fucking Hofbrau House.
I have 11 hours.
So I found a place to check my luggage. I put it in this. They've got a place where you like $5, and they hold your bags right there at the airport.
Like a cubby.
Yeah, like a cubby. And they give you a little ticket, and they check it in this back room.
Yeah.
And then it's just part of the airport, pretty cool. And then I get on the train, and I get this map, and I get this lady at the airport that helps me, and I get off the train, and it's a cold, rainy day, and I go to the Hofbrau House, and I have an amazing beer, and I have a incredible chicken schnitzel, which was just phenomenal.
What's a schnitzel? Is that a
like deep fried, breaded, flattened? It's just incredible. I'll show you pictures.
Okay. Oh, if I'm gonna give it to Liz. Here's a picture
of the schnitzel.
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
So I'm there at the Hopper House going, I can't believe I'm here. I said 2 years ago when I'm in Bozeman that I'm going to go to the Hopper House, and now I'm sitting
with
here.
no plan, by the way. No fucking idea that this trip is going to happen or any of this shit. Like,
yeah, none of it. And
you
here I
were
am.
way more broke 2 years ago. Like,
way more.
Not even possible. Like, there's no idea that could have even been a possibility. Like,
but it happened. So then I get done there, and I go check out. I walk around, all of Munich. I walk all over, and I found this amazing place with these incredible cheesecakes and desserts. And I have cheesecake and coffee, and it's raining, and it's a Monday or Tuesday, midday. There's not many people out and about. And then I get on the train and I head back to the airport. So when you go back to the airport, the train going back does this. The road does this, like this, and then it splits, and then it goes over here to a town. And then you have to stay on the train that doesn't split, and that goes to the airport. And if you go to this town, you're like 20 miles from the airport. So you have to make sure you get on the right one.
So one train splits, one train goes to the airport.
Yeah, and it's the same. The track kind of, and you just, all right, did I get on the one that goes
the same.
This way?
The track looks the same.
Yeah, but did I get on this one or this one? Because when you're in the town, this train goes over here. Don't get on that one. This one goes there.
Quit hitting the mic.
Sorry. So I get on the right train, and pretty soon we're going through the stops, and I've got my little map, and I'm reading the stops, and I discovered that I know more Klingon than I know German.
They sound the same.
Yeah, they're pretty harsh languages. And it's like, and I got bad hearing anyways. And so I can't quite hear, but I can see the pictures when we stop. I see the sign where they've got these cool signs. Like every time you stop, there's the sign to that stop matches the name on my map. I don't know what it says, but it's great.
The symbols match the symbols I see.
So we're going along, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There's these fields, and the train stops. And then they make this big announcement, and people get up. And like, we're not at one of the stops. We're just stopped. And I say to the lady, do you know what's happening? And then I think, oh my God.
I'm in Germany.
Yeah, I'm in Germany. And she goes, you need to come with me. And I go, okay. So we get up, and she says, where are you going? I said, to the airport. She says, oh my goodness, you're an American. I said, yes. And she says, I will help you. So we get off the train. And
she got to roll her eyes like, oh, an American.
Yeah. But thank God she spoke English.
Yeah.
So she says,
I think a lot of them do, actually.
She said, this train is broke. So
in a field in
so
Germany.
We have to get off and walk this way, and then walk down this way, and then under the tracks and back up to this side. And then there's this little old train depot thing. And
wait, is the train raised? Like, I'm trying to picture this.
No,
like,
it's just like a regular train.
How did you get under the?
Because they have these. It goes over they have tunnels dug, so you can walk under the tracks.
Got it. Okay, I got it.
So we had to get off, go
so
down.
So you really are just low. Because I'm trying to picture you're not up a ways up. You're literally just what's around you, like green fields.
Yeah, yeah. So then there's this little depot, kind of an Old West depot, and she says, you stay here, and in about 45 minutes, and there's this little, if you stand out a little bit, you're going to get rained on because the light rain is falling. It's just like Portland. And she says, you stand here in about 45 minutes, a train will come. You get on that train, it'll take you to the airport. I said, where are you going? She says, I have to go back where we just came from and stand on that side of the tracks.
Oh, so she went out of her way to help you, guide you to that thing.
And she says, because I'm taking the train to the other city. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm just standing there, it's like 3:00. I'm like, I'm so glad my plane doesn't leave till 9. And I'm just like hoping a train comes along. I'm in Germany in the middle of nowhere, hoping my train comes along.
I haven't even gotten to Greece yet.
So the train comes along, and I get to the airport. Okay, everything's great. I get on my plane. I fly to Thessaloniki. And there's this sign that says, if you're coming from a non-EU country, go over there to get your luggage. So everybody else is going over here. And I look, there's this door and you can't. So is that where I'm supposed to go? And I can't tell and I don't read Greek. So I open the door and I go in and the door shuts behind me. And I'm terrified. I turn around and it won't open back up. And I'm trapped in this room and there's this luggage thing that's not moving. So what do I do? And then there's a door. If I go out that door, I can't get back into here, and I can't get back into there. So I wait about 20 minutes, and then one piece of luggage comes out, and it's mine. So I grab it, and I go out the door.
So everyone else was coming from another European Union country.
Right.
Here, turn your mic just a little bit. There you go.
But
too far.
So
there you go.
So some of the there was other
Yeah.
people on that flight that didn't know to go into that room.
Got it.
So they were even later than me, but I finally get out of the room. I've got my luggage, and there's a guy holding a sign that says Stephen Shomler.
Really?
And it's like, oh, yeah.
Wait, in Greece?
In
You're
Thessaloniki,
Greece
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it. And what time is it?
11 o'clock at night.
Oh, my God. And it's Tuesday night.
And I have been traveling since
Monday
Monday morning.
Fuck, man.
Because I
probably missed a bed.
I flew from PDX to Denver, and then a 12-hour flight from Denver to Munich. Then I was in Munich all day from 10 to 9, and then a 2-hour flight to Thessaloniki. It's not 11 o'clock Tuesday
You're
night.
dead tired.
Dead tired, but I want to film this hotel, this badass hotel in Thessaloniki.
You land and you're in work mode.
I'm work mode. So I take all my luggage. They take me up to our amazing host from the Greek National Tourism greets us. She's super wonderful.
The National Tourism Board of Greece.
Yeah.
Nice.
So she greets us. She's amazing. She's wonderful. But she's tired because she's trying to get us all there. And others of us had delays. The flights are being canceled, and it's a mess.
It's all a mess. Yeah.
So to get to my room, and the nice guy from the hotel puts the luggage in the room, and he leaves. I take the luggage back out of the room. I put it in the hall, and I film the room. Get all the shot. I film the hall. It's all great. Then I put my luggage in my room. Everything's good. I take a bunch of photos. Then I go downstairs to the front desk and say, hey, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm going to film outside and film this. And these are young kids, probably in their early 20s.
Like my age.
Yeah, and the guy, he's looking at me like I've lost my mind.
It's like, what the fuck?
So I start pulling all my gear out of my pockets, and he goes, "What's this? What's this?" So I show him my video, the Culinary Treasure Show. You can go to the Culinary Treasure Network YouTube channel. I've got my first show up, and he watches and he goes, "Did you make that?" And he spoke some English, and I go, "Yes." He goes, "That's incredible." So I start showing him my name, and he goes, "This is incredible. I will help you." I said, "What's your name?" He says, "My name is Thanos."
Oh my God! Really?
Yes.
Like the guy from Avengers.
Yeah, the god of death.
The purple dude.
Yeah, the Greek god of death. His parents named him after the Greek god of death.
Hey, I mean, it's kind of badass. I will say.
It is. So Thanos and Giannis.
Thanos and Giannis. Is it Giannis like Giannis?
I don't know. There's a lot of Giannis's. Some have Y's, some have G's.
There's the Giannis in he plays in the NBA.
Yeah.
I can't say it's like Antetokounmpo. I can't say his last. I just call him. I say Giannis because I'll never say his last name or ever get it right. It's too hard. But he's from Greece as well.
So they helped me, and I filmed the lobby. I filmed the outside. I got beautiful shots. Then I did a fun Instagram story with them, and they were all excited. and what I didn't know is that the Greek people tattle on you. So then he says, "Hey, you got to go to the roof in the morning." He says, "You got to go to the roof in the morning." I go, "What's up there?" He says, "Oh, in the summer, we have a restaurant and a bar. We do weddings. And was it okay to film now?" I said, "It's okay to film now, but you got to go film it." Okay. So I get to bed at 2. I get up at 7.
And by the way, 2 o'clock after you've traveled for 2 days straight. Like,
So I go downstairs to the front desk and I say, "Hey, I'm Steve. I need to go to the roof and film." He goes, "Oh, you're Steven. Yes, we must get the man for you right now." Because Thanos and Giannis had told me there's this filmmaker and he's amazing and it's really good. So the legend is growing.
There's a guy named Steven he's a filmmaker and we got to take him to the roof.
Right. So this guy comes in suit and tie and he takes me up to the film and he's like watching me.
Like the manager or like?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Some guy.
No, he wasn't the manager. And he's like, "Well, why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, because I don't want to show this because this is dirty and ugly and I want it to look nice." And he was so grateful that I was making, and then he's helping me and we get it shot. Then I go downstairs.
So the guy has some stake in the restaurant, in the hotel. He wants it to look good.
Yeah, he understands that he gets it what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to,
You're trying to help them.
Yeah, if it was summer, it would look beautiful. It's just because there's no one up there right now. It's just not being used.
They're not showing the ugly part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
well, that's doing right by them, though.
Yeah. So then I put all my stuff back in my room. I go down and I have this incredible breakfast. I take a bunch of pictures of breakfast. And I think that guy over there might be with our trip, but I don't know. And I eat my breakfast. I'm happy to be alone and have some downtime. And then we have a meeting at 10:30 with some lady at the hotel. And then 11, we get on the thing. So at 10:30, I bring my luggage down and I walk down. And
after you filmed already this morning.
Yeah. I sit
By the way, what time did you get up? So you got to bed at 2.
and got up at 6:45.
Holy. I thought I didn't sleep, man.
It gets better. Wait till you hear about the next night.
I can do that normally, but not if I've been traveling for 2 days. That's so impressive to me. Anyways, 10:30, you're at the meeting.
At the meeting, and I walk out and meet the other travel writers, and we're sizing it up. Are these nice people? Are these not? Who are these people? There's 5 of us, and then the lady comes, and she's gonna visit with us
From the Greek National Tourism
No,
Board.
from the hotel.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
And she says, "Oh, you're Steven. Thank you so much for all the filming you've done at our hotel." And the other people look at me like, "What the heck? When did you get here? Last night 11. I filmed everything." And so all the places she toured, I'd already gone and filmed.
Steven, why don't you lead the tour?
So then we got in our little thing, and we headed north to the town of, I'm going to get it wrong because I don't have my notes with me, but Gomanessa, to this really cool little old town. And we stayed at, I don't have my notes, but Demosthenes
Sure.
guest house,
Sure,
Demosthenes guest house.
Okay.
And I meet Maria and her husband Derek, and they're super awesome and they're super nice, and we're all checked in, and we're going to get a 2-hour nap, which I'm so grateful for. And then we're going to go to this.
You're like, yeah, please.
Yes. And then we're going to go to this, and when we get there, they have treats and alcohol for us. When we get to this guest house, I'm like, yeah, baby. And we get a 2-hour nap, and then we're going to go to this winery at 5, and we're going to get it back at 9. So before my little nap, I say to Maria, "Hey, is there a dive bar around here?"
We're talking about naps.
She says, "A dive bar? You mean like, did you swim underwater too?" Because she thinks diving.
No, she has no idea. Like,
So
is that part of an English barrier, or what's the?
Yeah, so I tell her what a dive bar is. I show her pictures of you in Cincinnati and the dive bar we found there,
Yes.
and she thinks it's hilarious. And I show her the evil guy, the bartender that we love. It was
Like
great.
He looks like a villain, but he's great.
a wonderful human. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I show her the actual bar called Dive Bar, and she says, "Well, that's too pretty to be what you're talking about." And she gets it. She says,
Oh, she got it, but I didn't.
well, she's older and wiser. So she says, "Yes, there is a bar in town, Umenis, which I think means omen. It means omen in English. Umenis, something like that." She says, "We have it. Yes, Dimitri owns it. I'll take you there." I said, "Great. We get back at 9. I'll go." She says, "Fantastic." She's going to take me there.
At 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m.
That's
Yeah.
the plan.
Yep. And I said, "I need a bakery." She says, "What do you need a bakery for?" "I have to go to a bakery in the morning." She says, "But your stuff starts at 11 tomorrow." I said, "I know, but I want to go to a bakery in the morning." She says, "Well, we'll feed you." I said, "I know, but I still need to go to a bakery in the morning." Oh, so she tells me how I can walk to a bakery. We get to the winery. There's this amazing presentation they give us, like literally a 74-point PowerPoint presentation, and we're tasting all this wine. We're in this beautiful area.
Was it a good part? Was it enjoyable? Or
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Okay.
This incredible young woman is doing this presentation in English to us. There's all these travel people from the local community, local travel bureau, basically, like imagine the county or state travel
big event,
agencies. It's a big event to have these travel. And then we were the first, in this part of that neck of the woods, the first American travel writers that ever had. And this is their first event for the first people ever.
So they're stoked.
They're stoked. And so they give us this big tour, or they give us all this wine, then they give us a tour, and then we get to eat dinner, and we start eating at 10:42 p.m. And it was amazing. And then we go back and...
10:42 p.m.
p.m. Yeah, we got there around
And you're
5.
supposed to be there back. You're supposed to be back at 9.
9 p.m. Done.
Oh man.
So 10:42 p.m. we have dinner. So then we go back into the main...
What was dinner?
Oh, it was all this incredible. The food is amazing in Greece. All these Greek
Do
dishes.
you remember what it was like?
Oh, no, I got a bazillion photos, but it was so good.
If we have a photo, it's right here. If we don't, I tried.
And so then we go back into the main room, and then we get a music presentation, more wine, and a music
The
presentation.
night just keeps going.
Yes. And so then there's this lady that plays the piano, or she sings, and her partner plays the piano. I got an incredible picture of him playing the piano with his reflection up in the piano. So incredible photo. And she's singing Frank Sinatra songs in English. And I love Frank Sinatra.
Her picture was reflected in the.
His image was reflected in the top of the piano. So he's playing the piano, and
You
the
have a
piano
picture of
lights
that?
up. Yeah. Yeah. Up there. Yeah.
Right
It's-
there. Cool picture.
And she did an amazing job. It was so cool what she did. And then, but while I told you this amazing lady is giving this presentation about the winery, she's talking about the wine. And one of our other food writers, his name is Evan, and he's winesavvy.com. And he's incredible. He was raised in a Greek family. He speaks Greek fluently. So he'd ask a winemaker a question. I left out something. We on our way to the guest house, we stopped at a winery. And then we got our nap. And then we went to
Got it.
this
So
other place.
you went from 10:30 meeting winery,
guest house.
Yep. Nap.
Yep.
Then another winery at 5.
Yep. So Evan would ask questions. That's we had lunch at other winery.
Yeah.
Cool winery. I won't even get to the lot. It's just amazing stuff. We had an orange resin wine, which is like a unicorn wine. Unless you're a wine nerd, you won't even know what that means.
What's a unicorn wine?
What?
What's a unicorn wine?
One you never find. It's so good. It's so incredible. So
A
it's
resin wine. Kind of
resin
like
wine, but
kind of finding that milk wine that one time was like you just never find that.
Yeah, it's like, but it's a resin wine and it's orange though. So I meet this guy Evan, wine savvy. He's incredible. I love his stuff, and I'm telling him, hey, when you write an article, I'll put your article in mine. And he goes, what? I said, well, yeah, because I'm going to say it's a cool place to go to it. You're going to say, here's why an orange resin wine is so cool. And eventually he realized I was serious.
Well, it's kind of like on my show when I do Nate's notes, where like I know what I don't know, and then Nate knows wide receivers better than I do, so let's include Nate's content because it's better than mine.
But he would ask a question in English to any of the. We went to 3 wineries total. We're supposed to go to 24 on our trip. We went to 3. He'd ask a question in English. It'd get translated. They'd give a not quite detailed answer or not quite give him the truth. So he would then fire back a follow-up question in Greek. And they're like, oh, he speaks Greek.
Gotcha, baby.
Gotcha. So Evan is amazing. We have this great time, and Evan is asking technical questions about the wine. Is it really barrel?
He's like me with quarterbacks. Like
Yeah,
he's a nerd about wine.
He knows his shit. I love Evan. I'm a huge fan. He's amazing. Winesavvy.com with 2 V's. He's awesome. And so he's asking these wine questions, and I'm like looking at the gal thinking, why is she the winemaker? What is she doing here? What does she do to this winery? So I start asking questions. Well, why'd you name this wine that? And well, where did the name of the winery come from? Well, how long has this winery been here? And they don't want to talk as much about that. So
you want to talk about the nerdy stuff.
Yeah. So pretty soon I turn to my gal, that's our shepherd basically around, and say, hey, if I can get a ride back here in the morning to do a podcast with her, is that okay? Because our thing doesn't start till 11. She says, Steven, you know what you're doing. You hustle, man. Go for it. So the president of the local town, I confer with everybody. I'm talking to people, and he's going to pick me up at 7:30 in the morning, and he's going to take me back to this winery that's about 40 minutes away.
The place you had lunch.
No, the place we're at Wednesday night.
Got it.
Yeah, Wednesday night. And I'm going to do a podcast with the gal. So it's all set up while she's speaking. And finally I say, okay, it's all set up. Does she know yet? Because she's never gotten down from speaking. This is before dinner. Oh, her dad said yes. Her dad's part of the winery. He'll tell her to do it. I'm like, okay. So before we leave the winery.
Acting on faith. Like, yeah,
before we leave the winery, I said, did they tell you? Oh, yeah, I'll be here at 8 for your podcast. And I'm like, all right. So I'm coming back at 8 in the morning. The president's picking me up and driving me, and then they're going to get me back, and I'm going to do a podcast.
The president's going to come what time?
At 7:30 in the morning.
He better come at 7:30.
Yeah, because I got to be back by 11, and it's a 45-minute drive, and I got to set up and tear down, and yeah. And I know there's a good story there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my plan.
Tell this woman speaking is so passionate.
Yeah.
She knew her shit. You're like, there's a story here if I can talk to her.
Yep. So we get back to the hotel. Dinner's at 10:32. Then we have the show, the music, and the piano.
Because the night kept going.
Yep. So at 1:30 we get back to the guest house.
Fucking God. And you got to be up at 7:30. Oh, you got to be up at 7 probably at the very
to go
least.
to the bakery.
What time did you actually get up? Like 6:30 to...
I got up at 6:45. But wait, there's more. I got back.
Wait a minute.
At 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And Maria's like, hey.
Remember me?
The dive bar's ready for you. He's staying open for you.
Fuck, man.
So the other riders are like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to go to this dive bar with Maria. You want to come? It's a great story. And they're like, we got to sleep.
We're dead.
And they said, we don't start till 11. I said, oh, I start at 8. What are you talking about? I'm going back. You want to go with me? It's a great story. Oh, no. So they all unload and go in the thing. We hop in Maria's little car, drive into town, not very far. Meet Dimitri, incredible dive bar. He lived upstairs. The place outside emptied, so he opened a dive bar where he lived upstairs from. He's been there 20 years or 18 years of his 20-year celebration.
Opening a dive bar my downstairs, like.
Yeah, and he'll be
also,
there.
He's coughing. He's not sick. He's just old.
Yeah, and I need more coffee. And he and I've been talking a lot, and it's just this incredible
you and I are the
story.
same way. We talk a lot. My voice gets dry. My mouth gets really dry, and it's hard.
So his story is amazing. Dimitri's story is amazing. I tell him he needs to have a big party in 2 years. I tell him how he can collaborate with a brewery, have a brewery make a beer for his stuff. I drank so much at that place. We had 2 local IPAs, like a Crete one and some other one. Then he gave me some cocktail. Then I wanted. Then I had a martini. Then I wanted an old fashioned.
You drank a fuck ton of that guy's bar.
Five cocktails. 2 beers and 3 cocktails. Damn. And then I meet this filmmaker.
Are you the only person there? I mean,
no, me and Maria.
He's still open, but people are there
there's
too.
One person over here, and 2 people are over here. Turns out these 2 people. He's a filmmaker. He I show him my video. Look, I made a video, the hazelnut thing. And he's like, you're a filmmaker too? I said, well, why don't you film Dimitri? He said, what are you talking about? I tell him Dimitri's story, and he like, I've been coming here 10 years. I know Dimitri's story. I said, well, I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. So he says, oh, it's great. Great time with Dimitri.
Can I pause something here that I love is that, like that's your knack is finding stories. I mean,
Right.
you really are good at. It's funny how a guy can know Dimitri for 10 years and not realize, oh, the guy right in fucking in front of me. I'm a filmmaker, and the guy right in front of me has a great story. That's kind of sad, but it says a lot about you as a visionary person finding stories. But also, like, you've now told me a lot of the story. At this point, you're at this dive bar getting this incredible story. But no, people don't realize the competition of, like, making content. Like, the other 4 food writers are asleep, literally.
Yep.
How good does that feel? Like, I'm making shit while everyone else. That's why when I stay up at night working, watching film, I'm like, fuck, I'm making stuff. Everyone else is asleep. It makes me feel really good.
I loved it.
But not to mention, you got up at 6:45 after, what time is it now? 3 in the fucking morning?
I got to bed at 4:45.
And slept for 2 hours?
2 hours. And I
got
had
up
3 hours the night before.
because you were traveling 2 days ago. Like, my point is, think about the hunger and the tenacity.
I'm hustle. I want those
Yes.
stories.
All those other motherfuckers kept sleeping, and they did the bare minimum, is what I'm
They
saying.
did not. They worked hard, and I love them. I'm just nuts.
No,
I'm just nuts.
My point is, but they did everything they were asked of, right? You did even more than you were asked to do, and that's so impressive to me and says a lot about you. And I know you'll never say anything bad about them, and I love that about you too, but, like, good fucking job, man. Like, you hustled your ass off.
And I got
I'm
up
so
at
impressed.
6, and I had a fun conversation with someone at the dive bar that night
Yeah.
about life and life change and what do you really want, and told them this cool story.
So you didn't just fucking go drink alcohol. You actually talked about shit and used even more of your emotional energy to help somebody.
Yeah, and
You can't turn it off, you motherfucker.
I know, man. I'm a life story alchemist. I do 2 things: life story alchemist and culinary storyteller. And so she's crying, and we're talking about changing her life. What does she really
that
want?
Maria?
And I tell her about Blind Bar, which is an amazing story. So then so I get back at 4:45. I'm
Blind
up
Bartimaeus.
What?
Blind Bartimaeus.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Look, how the hell is that? We have time. What the? How do you talk about Blind Bartimaeus in a bar in Greece? Like, how does that come up, and how did you even use that? Like, please,
Because I
enlighten
could
me.
sense there was some issues
Yeah.
and fulfillment issues. Because I just have intuitive. And
So how does Blind Bartimaeus have anything to do with fulfillment issues?
because everyone in Greece is Greek Orthodox, they all know the stories.
So what's the story?
Well, you don't know the Blind Bartimaeus story?
No, I don't. And here's what's cool. Like, I don't give a shit about the Bible. I'm not really religious. I don't care. But I think maybe what made you such a great pastor is your idea for storytelling. You're like, you probably open the Bible and like, there's this dude. And kind of the same way, like when I saw the guy, UTEP, who got in trouble he got arrested without gun and drugs. And the point of the story to me was his brother died 2 years ago. I'm sure you read the Bible the same way, where you look at a story and you go, there's more here than people are realizing, because there's a lot of context clues and a lot going on. So how the fuck does Blind Bartimaeus have anything to do with it? And I don't know
So
the story.
I know that she's Greek Orthodox,
Yeah.
and she knows she's going to remember the story.
What
when
is
I tell
the
her.
story?
I'll tell you. So, but then I say to her, hey, I got to tell you about a myth, but I don't want to offend you telling you it's a myth. And she goes, what do you mean a myth? So I'm going to use the story of the Bible from Jesus. She goes, well, I'm not a believer. I said, of course you're not. You're Greek Orthodox. None of you are believers. And then she laughs. She says, well, because some aren't, but some are believers, but some aren't.
Can I say that I want to? So sorry to interrupt your story, but I love that approach, because I am very skeptical of religion, and not in a bad way. Just I don't know, and I don't dive too. I'm too busy, right, to deal with all that stuff in my heart. But what I do know is that what I have found of the Bible is there are some really interesting, whether you treat them as fact or not, the stories in there can be really helpful, and you can learn a lot. I mean, again, if you're listening to this podcast and you have trouble with religion, I totally understand. But if you can remove your trouble and even pretend, if you want to tell yourself it's fake, that helps me when I read that stuff.
Yep.
But my point is some of the parables and the stories in there are helpful shit. So like if you can, one of the ways I've learned to read the Bible, well, I don't really read it, but if I ever do, I tell myself I like it. It's a myth, but it's a helpful myth that'll tell me some helpful shit, so I'll read it anyway, right?
That was my approach with her.
Love that.
But I knew she would remember it once I told her, because I knew she was raised with the stories.
What the fuck's the story? I don't know.
So I said, okay, I'm going to tell you about Blind Bartimaeus. She goes, who's Blind Bartimaeus? I said, Matthew, it's only 6 verses. Mark, it's only 6 verses. And she's like, okay. I said, all right, here's the deal. There's this blind guy begging and she's dealing with fulfillment issues. Blind guy begging by the side of the road. And he hears that Jesus is coming into town, and he knows that Jesus hears blind people. So he starts crying out, Jesus, Son of Man, have mercy on me. Jesus, Son of Man, have mercy on me. So then the crowd tells him to shut up, shut up. Jesus is not going to come help you.
Bartimaeus.
Shut up, you loser dog. Because when you try to change your life, there's people that come into your life that will say, no, you can't do it. and they will try to shut you up and
Yeah,
stop you from
you're damn
changing
right.
your life.
Yeah. Your podcast is dumb. Don't make a strong. You're a stupid guy in a basement. Why are you making a podcast? Go drink. Why are you at college? It's Friday night. You should be drinking, hanging out with your friends at a party, not working on your stupid podcast. You'll never make money making strong opinion sports.
But he was hungry for life change, so he cried all the louder, Jesus, Son of Man, have mercy on me. So Jesus says, bring him to me.
Come on, blind Bartimaeus.
So he throws his cloak aside. He gets up and goes to Jesus. I'm like,
I like the theatrics of it.
it's like,
Come here, Jesus.
what? Why did the blind man throw his cloak aside? What are you, stupid? How are you
How
going to find it?
again? Oh shit! Because he had faith.
So he goes to Jesus, and Jesus says, this is, depending on where I'm at, like if I'm preaching in a prison, I'll say this, but usually I don't. But this is the day Jesus asks a dumbass question. Jesus says,
Tell me that because I like that.
Jesus says to the blind man, what do you want? Well, what do you think the blind man wants?
I'm blind.
And you're a healer of blind. What do you think he wants?
I want to pause the story again, man. I could go to your church because I try. You tell religious stories the same way I tell sports stories. Who gives a fuck about the trim the fat, quit the theatrics? Jesus asked a dumb fucking question. I love that.
But Jesus knew something that took me years of caring for people to figure out. Not every blind person wants to see, and not every sick person wants to be well. Boom, mic drop.
It's sad because there are people out there that I can they come to mind immediately that no matter how much you try to help them, they don't want it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's why Jesus asked that question. And I said, so Jesus asked the same question to you. It's a horrible, horrible question. What do you want? And the person I was talking to started bawling because a week earlier, friends asked some people, significant people in life, asked her the same question a week earlier.
What do you want?
What do you want with her life? And she said, how is it that a week later I'm in a bar in the middle of the night with a crazy American asking me the exact same question? I said, that's how the universe works, my sweetheart, and the universe might even like you.
Can I ask a weird? I don't know. I've never been to Greece. Is it a rare thing for a woman to be asked what they want in Greece? Is there a little bit of...
Women have their role.
They're a little bit lower.
And their role is to care for the family. You care for your kids and you care for your parents.
So asking
and
a woman...
you know you're culturally often it's tough to break out of your role. So for
her to be asked that was
deal.
Breaking out of her role.
Yeah, and so it's really crazy that I didn't know if she'd been asked that a week earlier, the exact same question. But we had this amazing conversation. I have 5 drinks. I meet a filmmaker. I meet Dimitri. I get his story. I tell him how he has to have a party in 2 years for his 20-year anniversary, or maybe it's 25. I'll have to check my notes. I tell him how he can have a beer collaboration and brew a beer with a brewery in Thessaloniki. I tell him these 2 breweries, and he says, have you ever heard of Hoppy Bar? I said, do you mean George? And he goes, what? And I said, look, I'm friends with him on Facebook. And he's blown away that I'm friends with George because I was supposed to go there on Saturday and do a podcast with George, which when I get back to Thessaloniki, George, I'm coming for you. So Dimitri was shocked that I already had met George. So an amazing time. Get back at 4:45. I get to bed 6:45. I get up.
Could we go back to Dimitri? Because this is a guy who opened a bar in his downstairs of his house. I mean, what's that? I know there's something about him. I don't know what to ask, but what's the story I don't know about Dimitri?
His parents owned the building. He was living upstairs. They shut down their marble business. The space is empty, and he opened up a bar and said he could make it work and didn't know how.
So a marble business, like making countertops?
I don't know what they did exactly, but something with marble. And so the parents shut down the business, as I understand it, and he put in a bar. And then he has...
That's not a simple, small task.
Oh, here's an amazing thing.
I knew there was motherfucking something.
So that he does these big concerts out in he does big concerts across the street in the square.
Okay.
And apparently the big bands come there when they're nobodies, or if they don't come there, it's a rite of passage. When you get big enough in Greece, you have to go play at his bar.
Really?
So he says to me, hey, you're from the Northwest. And I said, yeah. He says, oh, my friends are touring the United States. They're a big band, Planet Zeus. You have to go see them. I said, well, where are they going to be? And he goes, and he looks and he goes, oh, they're going to be at the Doug Fir Lounge. I said, I was there Thursday last week. That blew his mind. So I showed him photos that I was at the Doug Fir Lounge taking photos for a client.
Damn.
And it freaked him out. It just freaked him out.
You know what's horrifying is those guys are probably back home now.
Yeah, the tour got canceled.
Isn't that terrible?
Didn't ever get to. But when they come, I'll go. I don't know what kind of music Planet Zeus does, but I'll go check them out and say, hey, Dimitri sent me. And so I told him that he needs to.
That's how the world works, though, too. Is if you That's awesome, man.
He was stunned. I'm like, oh yeah, here I was there Thursday. This is Wednesday. I was there
Is that
Thursday.
in Portland or is that Camas? Or
It's Portland, yeah.
Okay.
Doug Fur is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a fantastic breakfast and great breakfast cocktails. A lot of people don't realize that they do concerts, but they also have a restaurant that's amazing. And I love breakfast where I can get alcohol, and they have fantastic. They're not a dive bar, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It's old school kind of it's just cool looking.
Yeah.
So just amazing adventures. Get to bed at 4:45. Get up at 6:45. Get all my gear packed up. Haul it downstairs and walk down to the bakery. Get to the bakery, try to order my stuff. She's giving me grief. Finally, she realizes I don't speak Greek and I'm an American. She's so excited. She's talking to me. I have no idea what she said. I take a bunch of photos. So now I've got an article. I get an article. I head back.
You have when you say, for people listening, when he says he has an article, what he means is he has now taken pictures of food. He has a story about the food. You have all the contents you need, like the meat and potatoes of an article that can be turned into one later. When you grind the meat into what it is.
Exactly. So, and then the guy picks me up. The wonderful human being picks me up and takes me to interview Anna,
the president of that little area where the winery was.
Yeah, takes me back, and we go.
How long does it drive?
About 45 minutes.
Oh, damn.
So
did you talk to the guy?
Oh yeah,
English?
he talked enough English. We had a great chat and a great visit, and I told him how to alter his tourism plan, and here's how he should do it instead. Because I didn't think what he was doing was work. He should do this instead, and he thought that was amazing, and loved it.
Motherfucker! Like, I hate you, man.
Then he says
every person you talk to, you're like, you should do this. You did it with me. Did it with fucking every brewery we've ever been to. You're like, do this instead. And everyone changed their approach, like fucking adding I was so resistant, but adding numbered episodes. Fuck you. Like, the reason my strong opinion in sports has numbers at the beginning of the episodes because this motherfucker told me to do it.
It's better. It's easier.
It is better. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's impressive. You're at 240.
Yeah.
241. I'm a fan. So we have a great visit. I get there with Anna. She's there ready to receive us. And we have an incredible visit. Long story short.
Anna's the woman. So people listening, Anna, if I remember, is the woman who was speaking that whole time to the group of people.
Yep.
And you behind the scenes were like, we're going to do a podcast with Anna. Is Anna even paying attention? It's that woman.
Yeah, and she's trying to do it because she gets asked a question.
Anna doing a podcast with you helps her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's during that night when she's trying to do a presentation, but someone would ask a question in English, it gets translated into Greek, and before she can answer, all these men are yelling answers out. And we literally get 3-4 minutes of yelling.
And then
we get a one-sentence English translation. And we're like, come on. But then Evan, who spoke Greek, would then tell us all the other stuff they said. And it's like they should have all just been quiet and let her talk.
Yeah.
They were very disrespectful to her. It was very hard for me.
Is that, again, back to some of the Greece women?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find out that her great-grandfather escaped Istanbul, went to that town that we were...
Turkey?
Yep. With the grapevines.
Is she Armenian?
No. So Greek. So she escapes the grapevines he escapes from Istanbul, brings the grapevines, plants the grapes in a vineyard right nearby 98 years ago and establishes the vineyard, the winery. When she was 8, 9, 10 years old, her dad...
20s.
What?
In the 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. 5th generation. Yeah.
The 1920s.
Yeah. Yeah. So exactly. So when she was 8, 9, 10 years old, her dad really expanded the vineyards and planted a lot more and made the winery even bigger. And she remembers walking through the vineyards, 8, 9, 10 years old, and it was just so peaceful. And she loved wine and she loved the vineyards, but she always wanted to be a doctor. So she became a doctor. She moved to Brussels and was a doctor in Brussels. And Brussels, Belgium.
Belgium. Got it.
So 5 years ago, she comes home basically to run the family business.
That's what's interesting about Europe is like moving from Brussels to Greece is kind of like moving. It's like moving from one state to another.
Yeah.
It's way more. It's
dense.
It's a bunch of countries instead of a bunch of states, basically. So, like, if I moved to Cincinnati, it's like me going to Brussels from Greece, right? Like, kind of.
Probably closer. They're probably closer to each other.
Yeah, but it's some kind of comparison like that. Like me moving to a different state far away.
Yep. But 5 years ago, she gives up being a doctor and comes run the family business. She's one of the winemakers. Her and her dad make the wine.
Who has trained as a doctor.
Yes. We have a great story.
But she knows because she grew up with it, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, she's 5th generation winemaking. She knows how to make wine. This is her fourth crush. I get this great story. Crush is where the grapes come in and you crush them. It's a thing. It's called,
What's the yearly? So you crush it, then you make it into wine, then you bottle it. Is that how?
Yep. All in the fall. That's when the grapes are ready. You're working day and night. Crazy.
Fall's like tax season for a winemaker.
Yep. And it's just to have this. I have this amazing story with her, and then well,
Hearing her story as a doctor
Yep.
to where she is now, and
and
you have that recorded.
oh yeah,
That'll be a good podcast.
yeah, and the president guy, he leaves, but she's going to give me a ride back. So we're supposed to be back at 11. We're all done with the podcast. If we leave now, we can get back. But I know they're going to a church, and I don't want to see a stupid church. So I think, I bet I can catch up on the one or two before they leave that region and head to another region.
You can be late to the church. Like,
Yeah, and I get a phone call. Hey, you all got to leave. Donald wants you back in the United States. Literally, that's the message I get. You got to go, so we're leaving soon. I don't know what that means. So she says, hey, do you want to see my grandfather's vineyards? And I'm like, fuck yes, I do.
that or a church? Let's go to
So
the
we drive
vineyard.
out to the vineyards. I see the vineyards her great-grandpa planted 98 years ago.
Are they really old growth trees? Like,
Oh, it's beautiful. And then I see all the other vineyards, and then she gives me a ride back into town. And then artists, our amazing driver, I show back at the hotel, and they've been all communicating with each other, because remember, they tattle on you. And I get there, and the van that we ride in is waiting for me at the hotel. So I think he's there to take us, like, I don't know, if we're leaving, what we're doing. So I run upstairs, I pack up all my stuff, I throw it in the van, and then artist says, okay, and he drives me back to the church. And I didn't even know that he was going to be there, but that's how they all communicate, because they appreciated what I was doing. So everyone's about done with the tour of the church, and I get there for the last little bit, and I walk up with my coffee and my food, and I'm standing there, and they go, well, where did you come from? So then we go to another winery and have an amazing time and an amazing dinner, and it's really fun. They're like, hey, we're out. We're putting you on planes to we couldn't get you on planes today, but we're putting a plane in the morning. We're trying to get back to the United States, because the rumor was if we're not back to the United States Friday midnight, if we get back Saturday,
you might be stuck here.
we'll be quarantined for 14 days on a military base. That's what they were telling us. You got to get back by Friday midnight, and we're moving heaven and earth to get you back. So we're at this winery. We're going to leave the winery, go back to the hotel and pack, and then head to the airport. So we're at this winery. We have this amazing dinner, this great experience. I get these beautiful photos. And it was funny, along the way, I'm taking photos, and the other travel writers are looking at some, man, your photo's beautiful, man. Oh, your photo's beautiful. So yeah, I'll give you all my photos. And pretty soon they realized I was serious, that I would literally give them all my photos. So when I got back, I uploaded 2,498 photos of the Greek trip, because I took another 1,000 in Munich on Tuesday, and I sent them all to them in Dropbox. They all have the Greek photos. They can use them, because they don't do me any good sitting at my computer. So we get back to we have the great dinner at the winery. We get back to the hotel.
So they realized that why are we even trying to take pictures? We don't compete. Like,
and they finally realized I was serious. I'm going to help them. I'm not
You're not an
competitive.
asshole trying to, yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to if they
You're
write
gonna put Evan's
content,
article in my thing. You're in it.
I'm going to link their articles. Any articles they write, I'll link anything I can. I like all of them. They're all great people.
Yeah.
So we get back to the hotel, and they have to go pack.
Oh, but you packed already.
Already packed. And so then a local lady says, hey, the priest really wants to give you a tour of the church.
Because you missed it.
Yeah. That's very important to the priest. Okay, so I get a tour of the church. I get to see things they didn't get to see. I get upstairs. I get all these pictures of this beautiful church. Then we get back.
I've heard this part. Wasn't it part of it like you were on... Because all I've heard since you got back was the church and you came back early. I knew a little bit about that. Was it because you were trying to help her, right? Like,
I just want to... If it's important to the priest, I want to do it.
Go ahead.
So we did that. Then we got in the van and we drove to Thessaloniki. We checked into this beautiful hotel, and they want to feed us dinner.
Oh.
And it's 10 o'clock at night. So we go and we're going to have dinner. Now,
Wait, I'm confused. So you were staying the hotel where you had 2 days of base operations.
yeah,
was not
Gomenis was an
Thessaloniki.
hour north of Thessaloniki.
Got it.
In Gomenis.
You landed at Thessaloniki, drove to Gomenis where all the wineries are,
Yep.
that rough area.
Yep.
Then go down.
Yep.
So now you're in Thessaloniki that night.
That Thursday night at 10. Yep.
Got it.
And they want to feed us dinner. So Evan, he's tired. He goes to bed. The rest of us go. We have this amazing dinner in this hotel, this incredible dinner. And I'm like, I need a martini. I need a fucking martini. So I say, I need a good Greek gin. I want 3 olives, wave the vermouth bottle over it, and fill it with gin. And the other writers, oh, that's how my dad orders it. I'm like, great. You make me feel really old, but it was fun. And
How young were they? Were they like...
Oh, they're all my age roughly. But they bring me this this bottle of gin and show me the bottle, and the gin's name is Grace. It's Grace Gin, Grace Distillery out of Athens. And I'm like, oh, this is so perfect because Grace is a big deal in my world. And I'm here in Thessaloniki. Last time I was in Thessaloniki, I was there preaching about Grace. Now I'm here drinking Grace Gin. It was so cool. So then I got to bed about, we got back to room about 12:30 at night. We had this amazing dinner and visiting with everybody and laughter. Got back room at 12:30, packed everything up, got up at 4:45 and headed to the airport. My ticket, which the Greek government paid really much to get for me, I had a seat from Thessaloniki to Munich.
So shout out to the Greek. I mean,
They
if you go to Greece tourism board, like they're basically the whole trip fell apart.
And they took care of us and got us home.
We got to get you home.
Yeah.
Because coronavirus was just such a big deal.
And they were afraid we'd be either stuck in Greece permanently or put in a military base in the United States. So they moved heaven and earth to get us back by Friday at midnight. But my ticket had a seat from Thessaloniki to Munich and no seats from Munich to San Francisco and San Francisco to Portland because they bought me tickets on an overbooked flight.
They just did the best they could.
They did. I have no complaints about them.
Yeah.
So they're like,
what does that mean for you?
You have to run and get to the gate before anyone else to get a seat on that plane.
Oh boy.
So when you're in an airplane, you're behind security. So we land. We're already through security, but we have to go through security. Germany's not screwing around
because of Corona. They're just
they're not. I mean, guards walk through the airport with
like
machine gun.
Anyway.
I mean, you feel safe. It's beautiful. I absolutely love the Munich airport. But 4 times between when we land and I get to the gate, we are stopped and checked, and our identities are checked. And where are we going? Do we have things? Do we have our boarding passes? Is it legit? And every time we stop, I'm running to get ahead of everybody else.
What's my image here? Like you have your bag. Are you rolling with your bag rolling? Like
yeah, I've got my rolling backpack and my shoulder bag.
And you're running? Like,
yes.
I've never seen you run in my life. What does this look like? I mean,
hey, I ran the mile in high school.
Oh, in high school? That's a while ago. I mean,
so I'm running, and in the end, I was the 3rd person to the gate, 3rd in line.
I want to revisit this running thing, man. Like, please give me an image.
I was sweating. I was running for my life to get home because if I miss this plane, there are no more planes out today. And then the next day, I spend 14 days in a military base. That's what we were told.
Yeah.
And
you're like, I want to get on this goddamn plane.
Karen does not want that. She wants me home. She does not want me stuck in a military base. I don't want to spend 14 days in a military base.
So you're sweating profusely,
running,
backpack, you're running,
and my little wheelie thing. I'm holding carrying.
Are you like doing this or is
yeah,
it
I'm carrying it. I'm carrying it and running.
But to me, I don't know. People listening probably don't give a shit. To me, it's the best image. Like,
so I get there and they're like, "Well, we don't really have any seats left." So they did have one in first class.
What? Fuck you.
So I whipped out the credit card and I spent an extra $649 and I got a seat in first class.
Whatever.
Otherwise, I wasn't getting on the plane.
No, I know. I mean, look, if I'm gonna fly from Greece to America, I want to be on first class. That's amazing.
Well, they call it business class, but there was no one else in front of us but the pilot, so it was first class in my head. It was incredible. But what was funny and tragic is I met people. There's this gate's going to San Francisco. This gate is going to Houston. I met people who lived in the Bay Area that this plane was sold out, so they bought tickets to Houston
to get to America.
To get to America, and they had no way to get from Houston to
San
Francisco, but they knew they could at least rent a car. It was like 9/11.
Wow.
And when they called and I started getting on the,
we don't know if we can fly from Houston to San Francisco, but we got to get home.
Before midnight. And these are the last 2 flights going out today. And we don't know if there's flights tomorrow. I mean, and when I'm boarding, people are crying because they're not going to get on that plane. It's sold out. It's overbooked. It was serious shit. So I had this great time on the plane back and got to San Francisco, and I spent about an hour. You land, but you have to go through immigration or customs, whatever, to get officially into the country, even though you're there. So I spent about an hour, got through, got on my flight to Portland, which was empty. That was easy, and got home. The next day, the people that landed on Saturday, they in that same room that I was in for an hour, they were in for 8 and 9 hours. And they missed their flights. They had to spend the night in San Francisco. It was a nightmare. So I'm so glad I got home by midnight. There was no one put in military bases, but that's what we were told at the time, is you have to get back by midnight.
Can I ask you a weird question? Why did everyone know that things were going to get worse on Saturday? And is that kind of a flaw in our system? Like it just takes a while for the waves to go through?
Well, Trump said if you're not back by Friday at midnight, then there's all these travel restrictions.
Crazy, man.
So it was. So I got. And it was fun visiting people. They were glad. They said, "Man, we wish we'd gone with you to the dive bar or back to the winery because I got more content. I got a video.
Oh, because these people are going back with like almost nothing.
Well, not almost nothing. They have the three wineries,
very little.
and yeah,
But that 3 compared to 24 they were expecting to get.
right. Yep. And they say they'll have us back, and I hope they do. I'd love to go back. It was amazing people, amazing food. It was incredible. But I'll have a video of a podcast and 9 articles. From
How many hours?
Tuesday at 11, and I was back to Thessaloniki Thursday at 10, having dinner, headed out the next morning.
That's crazy. It's impressive. I mean, like,
I hustled, man, but I had so much fun. The people were so nice. The food was so good.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than living life that way, though. I mean, it's not sustainable, but when you're...
I was in the hunt, and I wasn't tired.
But it's fulfilling, right? Like,
so fulfilling.
It's funny how when you're in the hunt, like you said, it doesn't make you tired. You don't find time to get tired because what's driving you is the desire to finish. And again, you can't do it for a sustained amount of time for months on end. But for a little while, when I was in college, I'd be the same way. Like during the week, I'm in the hunt, motherfucker. I'm going like class, work all night, sleep for like 2 hours, then go to class again in the morning, and then on a weekend just crash. But I knew that I could get through the week that way. Because you're just going and fighting and working.
And had we stayed in Greece and not gone home Thursday night I would have had plenty of sleep. I would have had 8 or 9 hours of sleep
you could
that
have let
night.
it catch up.
And I would have been able to catch up and been ready for a run on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
But it just...
You can't go more than a couple days spurts.
Right. And then
it kills you. Yeah.
But yeah, it was an incredible trip. I hope to go back. It was amazing. I ran across someone who's going to help me. All my articles that I post on the... about this I'm going to post them in English and in Greek. So I'm going to use Google Translate and translate them into Greek as best I can, but not know what it says. And then I now have a Greek editor, and she's going to edit it and fix it for me. Because I think one of the things about this amazing Kilkis region that's incredible, it's about an hour north of Thessaloniki, and everyone goes to Thessaloniki from all over the place in Greece, just like people go to Portland from San Francisco, from Bend, from Seattle, they come to Portland. And some of the Portland people that come to Portland have been 3 or 4 times. Guess what they decide to do when they get to Portland? Go to the Oregon coast. So I think they should get people that travel to Thessaloniki who've been there 4 or 5 times
to go to that area.
Which is why I'm going to put my articles in Greek so the Greek people can read about it. I want Americans to go and anyone else that reads English, but I also want people that read Greek in Thessaloniki to go. And then Maria, our innkeeper, she said, "Why do you want all these articles? This is a wine trip." I said, "I'm going to write about the wineries, and the wineries are amazing, and people should visit them. The wine's incredible. But someone that comes here for wine, they're going to stay at your place. They're not just going to go to wine. They want to go to the cool bakery in the morning. When they're done with wine, if they're still awake, they want to see the local. They could go to the Bart Dimitri." And it clicked for her that I'm offering people a whole experience. And her place, her guest house, she can get you rides. She can help you rent, even if you just. She can help you get from Thessaloniki to her place, and then she can get you rides to all of those wineries. You don't even need a car. You just hire a driver to take you to those places. And it hit her that I'm offering a whole experience when you go there.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. Yeah, I met this, she helped me connect with this chef, and it was really funny. There was some kid that was, I don't know what he was connected to the winery somehow, our third winery. The one we had Thursday afternoon, we had dinner around 5 and we left around 7, and it was amazing. And he says, "So what are you, why are you here with these people?" I said, "Oh, I'm just their mascot and I carry their luggage." The other writer's laughing, and he doesn't know. He's like, "Who are you?" And I'm taking photos and just, I'm just, hey, whatever, I'm just me. And we had a story the night before about chestnuts. And I talked about chestnuts and the Holiday Ale Fest, and they sell chestnuts. And I said, the best chestnuts are stuffed inside of pigs, and you make chestnuts in a pig dish. What I didn't know is that above the wineries is this mountain area, and they have all these chestnut farms. So we're at this dinner at the winery, and then the chef gets introduced, and he has a restaurant where he makes a pork dish with chestnuts. And he says, "I have been asked to prepare this special dish for our special guest from Portland, Oregon, Stephen Shomler." Because someone put that together for me. And then this guy's like, "Who are you?" And if I ever get to go back, I want to go up and interview those chestnut farmers. And I want a chestnut podcast, and I want to interview that chef and his story. I mean, My friend Evan, when he got to go, he loves Athens, so he asked them, fly me in 2 or 3 days early, and then he'll pay for his own time. So if I go back to Greece, anywhere they're fly me in 2 or 3 days early, and I'll pay for my own way from wherever we land back to that little region, and I'll get more stuff. There was a park we went to that was stunningly beautiful. We'll put up a photo right here. So beautiful, this park. But I want to have time to film this park.
What made it beautiful?
I don't know. It's just the fall, and they have it's waterfalls.
So it's fall there.
Yeah, and they had waterfalls. It looked like fall to me. I don't know, but they had waterfalls.
Well, here's were they doing a crush?
It was coming out of winter, so that's what it was. It's coming out of winter, but it looked like fallish to me.
Well, also, like they probably don't have as harsh a winter, maybe because it's
not in Greece. Yeah. So it was just I want to film this and just show people how beautiful this is, and you can walk there to this little park from the town, and then walk along these waterfalls and all that. And so it's just awesome stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible trip. I made the most of it. Met amazing people. Had incredible food. I follow Thanos now on Instagram. He's just amazing. It's just
I want to follow him too.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And I had people that I'd talk about you, and then they'd find you and they'd show me, "Is this your son?" I go, "Yep." And they go, "Oh, wow."
That's awesome. That sounds like an amazing trip. I mean, sad that it was cut short, but you made the most of it, right? I mean,
yep.
That's all you can do when you have a thing that, I mean, it's a sad circumstance that it got cut short, but like you did the best you could. I mean,
yeah, and I looked sharp, man. I had great scarves. I had 4 pair of sunglasses. I had some really nice shirts. And the first day I come out, and I've got my best shirt on, my best. I'm like, I belong here, baby.
Like me wearing a flannel. It's like the best thing I own.
For now, where there's different seasons, Strong and Pain Sports. You see the guy that said that? First was the polo season, and now he's in the era, and now we're in the flannel era, and he can't see what era is next. So can I.
Actually, it was funny. When the show first started, I used to wear really nice dress shirts, and I was like, these are uncomfortable. I went to the polos, and then now here we are with the flannels. I've at least got a little better.
So I walk out that first morning, Wednesday morning, and they all start teasing me, and I guess it's a thing in Greece. "Oh, wow, your wife must be amazing. She dressed you so good." And I'm like trying not to be offended, but fuckers, I dressed myself. I picked these things out. I've got all the clothes. I got way more
God bless
clothes.
Karen. I chose this than her.
And I got way more clothes than she does, right, wrong, or different. I'm crazy about my clothes. And then the other thing they said is
you gotta meet Max. My friend Max Huskins, who is very like...
I love Max. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, shout out to Max. I should have him sit here and do a show with him. I mean,
yeah, you should.
Or maybe you should do a show with him. You talk about clothes for an hour and a half.
But then the other thing, and so then they started joking every day how great my wife dressed me, and I'm like trying not to be disrespectful of their culture. Then the other thing said, "Oh, you're such a nice young man. Your mother must have been amazing, because if you're a good person, your mother must be
your
great."
Mother.
Oh my God! And I'm like, I couldn't. I was like, no, actually, no. And then it's not cool to say bad thing of my mother, but like, no, my mother had nothing to do with who I am. And like, I'm not going to let you give my mother credit for who I am. I mean, there's no fucking way. So I said it respectfully, but like, I'm drawing a line
To
there.
be clear, his mother's a horrible person. Like, I don't know how to edit. I don't know. There's no other way to like, that's just, we talked about fact versus opinion earlier. Fact. His mother's a terrible person.
I had every kind of dark abuse you can imagine in my childhood, and things you never want to imagine.
I want to, dude. You'll never ever let me. I want to tell those stories. Like, you should tell. There's got to be a way to get that out of you someday. I don't know.
I'm sure we can. But,
yeah, let's do it. It's horrible, but let's do it.
But I spent a lot of time in therapy in my 20s healing from literal abuse, and so don't tell me my mom, who I suffered abuse at her hands.
I know barely anything about your childhood or anything.
But like, no, you can say Karen dressed me, and that's cute and fine, but no, you're not going to say I am who I am because of my mom. I worked really hard to be who I am in spite of my mom. So,
fuck you. So when you got back, like, was it nice to see Karen? Tell me, like.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. We just, she was so glad I was back, and I got back Friday night, and we got back Friday night at 8, and I'd been, I left Friday and got back on Friday because you're good picking up 10 hours on the time change. But I still had a 2-hour flight, a 12-hour flight, and a 2-hour flight. I'd still been traveling for like 18 hours, even though I picked up, it was still the same day. I'd been traveling for 18 hours. But when I got home, we had martinis. I was so happy to have martinis with
Quarantinis.
her. No, they were martinis. And it was just so awesome. It was like, okay, I'm home. It was great. And I told her a bunch of stories and showed her
Is she really
photos.
busy right now?
What?
Is she really busy right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I told her lots of stories, and we just it was great to get home, and it was a lot of fun. And then Saturday we recouped and watched Contagion and Outbreak and had more martinis.
Did Contagion scare you at all?
It's so sobering,
Yeah.
but I already wondered if this was.
You're one of those people. I think you and I prepare for the worst always. We always are like, what's the worst possible outcome here?
Yep.
Let's prepare ourselves emotionally for that.
Yeah, and not to be crazy or anything, but Hoosiers is not a great movie. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to die, I don't want Zach to not see Hoosiers with me because it'll be very meaningful to you. It's not an amazing, I think it's an amazing movie. It's not like a great film. It's not great filmmaking, but I think you'll love the story, and I might die through this thing, and I hope not, but at least you'll know, hey, I got to watch Hoosiers with my dad, and we had BLTs.
I love that. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've talked way too much already.
Yeah, I think it's been engaging, though. It's funny. I'm proud of the conversations we have. I think they're good. I think they're interesting.
I feel honored, and people watch them, and it's crazy to me.
I don't know that a lot of father-son duos talk the way we do about stuff that we talk about.
And we had no prep for this. I didn't know what you wanted to cover.
No, you sat down and said, literally, you sat down and you said, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, I think Corona and the trip will get us enough content. We've been talking. Now, the timer is probably a little longer than it really will be. It says 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
I want food. I'm so fucking hungry.
I am so hungry. I want, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Liz, I hope you enjoy editing this long-ass podcast. I apologize. I love you. I love you guys. Have a great day. But bam, we are done.